Hello and welcome live to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan men's basketball on YouTube. My name is Neal Sinha, joined alongside by partner Daniel Olson. We'll have Owen Klein coming in for the second half call. Very interesting game today as Michigan is set to play the Jackson State Bengal Tigers out of the SWAC conference. Of course, the Wolverines have not had a great start to this season. They have only lost one game thus far, but a very bad loss to the Arizona State, um, basketball team over there. And that was not a very good performance by this Michigan team to lose that in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn by 25 points. They followed up then at home against Ohio in overtime, barely slipping through that game. Dan, what's gone wrong so far this season for this Michigan team, and how does Juwan Howard right the ship?
Well, it's certainly been a lack of consistency on both sides of the ball for this team. Defensively, there's been good moments, especially from the second unit. They provided a lot of energy on the defensive end, but they're just not playing on a string. There seems to be a bit of a lack of communication, and they're struggling to keep guys in front of them. Guys like Imani Bates have been able to get off for big numbers on the stat sheet and the points column. And that's kept teams like Eastern Michigan, Ohio in these basketball games that Michigan should be dominating. So I expect them to tighten that up, focus more on the fundamentals of defense, keep guys in front of them will be key for them tonight, especially with Ken Evans Jr. on the other side for the Jackson State Bengal Tigers.
I was just going to ask you, Dan, you kind of just said it right there. Ken Evans has to be the player
man
to watch for Jackson State.
Yeah, he's very capable of having a big game, putting up a lot of points tonight, and keeping Jackson State in this game. They are 0-3, but they've played a lot of tight games. They've had some low-scoring games. They've had some high-scoring games, so they're very capable of hanging with this Michigan team, but Michigan's got to stay focused, stay with the fundamentals, do what they do, which is get the ball to Hunter Dickinson and let him be the best player on the court like he should be tonight.
They'll certainly be looking to do that. Just as you said, Jackson State is coming off a 3-point loss to Arkansas Little Rock, as we'll have the national anthem here in Chrysler Center, so we will pause for that and be right back. And welcome back into Ann Arbor and WCBN sports coverage of Michigan men's basketball. Once again, a very interesting matchup for tonight here in Chrysler Center between the Michigan Wolverines and the Jackson State Bengal Tigers. Jackson State heads into this game winless, a record of 0-3. They're coming off a 3-point loss to the Arkansas Little Rock team, as well as a 6-point loss to Tulsa. Meanwhile, Michigan on the flip side, of course, as Michigan fans know, had a very, very close win against Ohio on last Sunday, a 4-point win at home in Chrysler in overtime. You know, Michigan's playing another Ohio team, maybe in a different sport this weekend, but my goodness, what a scary game that was. Dan, walk me through what Michigan did so poorly in that game that they went to overtime with a Middle Atlantic Conference team.
I think it stems from a lack of shooting ability, a lack of being able to create offense outside of Hunter Dickinson. They only scored about 60 points in regulation, needed overtime. Granted, Ohio had that miraculous full court pass to get them to overtime, but Ohio was up 7 with about 5 minutes left in that game, 57-50. That's not acceptable at home for a team like Michigan. They have to be able to put the ball in the basket. Dickinson still had his 20 points, a lot of rebounds, but he is their offense, and when he can't get a bucket, they have to be able to create, and that's where Jet Howard comes into play. But I need to see guys like Kobe Buffkin, Jalen Llewellyn, Terrence Williams II, the other starters, be able to create and be able to score when they're called upon late in situations to get Michigan to the 70, 80-point range, and that should win them enough games.
Yeah, let me read you through a few numbers here. And Dan, I'm going to have you guess what they are at the end of this. 10.5, 11.8, and 30. Those are the numbers of 3 starters. What stat do you think that is?
10.5, 11.8, and 30. 10.5, 11.
It's 3-point percentage.
Oh.
And that's of Kobe Buffkin, Jalen Llewellyn, and Terrence Williams. They have 3 players on this starting lineup that simply have not been shooting the ball well. Kobe Buffkin shooting 10.5% from 3. Llewellyn 11.8% from 3. And also for Llewellyn, 58% from the line. I mean, we can talk about shooting all day, but the free throw percentages have been just as bad.
Yeah, and that's usually a good indicator of how good of a shooting team a team is, right? If you can make your set shot from the free throw line, typically that indicates a good shooting team. Michigan is shooting 64% from the line this year, under 30% from 3. And with Hunter Dickinson getting doubled in the post, you would think they'd have a lot of wide open threes, and they're just not knocking them down at the moment. That's keeping games close. On the flip side, Jackson State, right? 30% from 3, 63% from the line. So this very well could be a barn burner here in the Chrysler Center.
You know, and Michigan, another thing to be said too is maybe not so much in that Ohio game where it was a very, very defensive battle, one could say. This team really, really struggled on defense against Arizona State. It seemed like they have not been able to get out on the perimeter and prevent threes. Now, that Arizona State team shot extremely well from behind the arc in that game. But with the guys and the personnel that this Michigan team has, how, you know, if you're Juwan Howard, what sort of scheming do you create to run teams off the three-point line?
Well, I think it starts with supposedly your best defender in Kobe Buffkin. He has to be the guy taking the opponent's best offensive weapon, which in this case would be Ken Evans Jr. tonight, and he has to make sure that he stays in front of him because the opposing team's playmakers, their point guards, guys who have been distributing have been able to get by the first line of defense and make plays for their teammates, and that's how teams have been able to, you know, put up points on the scoreboard and kind of keep Michigan at bay. And Michigan hasn't been able to get out and run as much, partly because teams are making shots, but 2, they're not getting steals, they're not getting defensive stops, and there's no momentum for Michigan. They seem like to be playing, they just trade buckets in every game, and that's why, you know, obviously games are staying close. And it starts defensively. I think Dickinson's got to be a little bit more active on the screen, stepping up a little bit more, making teams go around him, because while he's not the most laterally quick guy, he can certainly make a difference on the perimeter as well. So if I'm Howard, I think it starts with effort. It starts with the guys on the perimeter like Llewellyn and Buffkin, and then it requires Dickinson to be a little bit more mobile out top.
Yeah, and we talked about it off the broadcast, but this is a big game for Michigan to build some confidence. They have the meat of their schedule already kind of coming up. They have Virginia at home next Tuesday in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. That is a number 5 Virginia ranked team in the country. They have Kentucky also ranked and North Carolina too in the non-conference before they even get underway in Big Ten play.
Certainly a challenging schedule upcoming. This is a game you'd love to win, and you'd love to work on things in this game, right? Get the game over with in this first half, go up 15-20, and then just start to, kind of develop things, keep working on things, keep working on the fundamentals, because that's been the key for Michigan is when they play fundamentally solid basketball, they're in games and they win games consistently. But so far this year, they've been inconsistent in doing that, and that's been a problem.
And here we go with the tip underway in Ann Arbor, and a little bit of a pinball action right away from the tip and out of bounds off the baseline. It'll be Michigan ball. Dickinson was unable to fully corral it. Just 5 seconds underway here. Terrence Williams will get the offense set as Llewellyn will bring it up past the midline. Chase Adams fronting him. Llewellyn outside right wing to Kobe Buffkin. Up to the elbow to Williams, down low to Dickinson on the low block. Hunter surveying, hits it out to Jet Howard for 3, too long, and Jackson State with the rebound early here. Gabe Watson has it. He goes back to Chase Adams, the 5'8" point guard for the Bengal Tigers. Down low to Mansell. Mansell going to work on Dickinson, floats it up. Little fadeaway jumper, got it to go. A couple of bounces and in for Jackson State, and it's 2-0.
And you'll see a lot of individual offense from Jackson State tonight. Only 12 assists a game through 3 games so far this year. That's not a very good number. I'm sure that's something they'd like to improve on. Michigan's just got to move their feet and stay in front.
Terrence Williams now spinning fadeaway off the front iron. Jackson State with the rebound. Here comes the Bengal Tigers now. Chase Adams now back out to Mansell. He swings it to Trace Young. Top of the key, Chase Adams. Looking around, Llewellyn's fronting him. Down low to Mansell on the right block. He kicks it back out, and it's blocked. Gabe Watson wanted a 3, blocked by Jet Howard. Man, he has been having a lot of blocks recently. Hunter Dickinson now on the right block. Dickinson posting up, trying to get to that left shoulder. And he gets fouled down low. We'll see who the call's on.
Clear emphasis in the Michigan offense that you expect is getting the ball to Hunter Dickinson down in the post. And as you'd expect, Jackson State bringing down the double team. Dickinson couldn't get the pass out there, but he did earlier to Jet. And those are the shots Michigan's going to have to make if they want to make a run in the tournament and just play consistently good basketball this year.
Michigan passing around the perimeter. Llewellyn dribbles it in, has it stolen by Chase Adams. He'll bring it up quickly. Trace Young now in transition, misses the layup. Dickinson with the board, and here comes Jet Howard. Outside to Buffkin in the near corner. Back top of the key, straightaway 3 from Dickinson. No, just short off the front iron.
I'd like to see Michigan push that a little bit quicker to see if they can get something at the rim in transition. Their set offense is very predictable. So being able to run, get out in transition might get them some easier baskets.
And here's Ken Evans, first touch of the ball. He passes it to Chase Adams. Back out Mansell on the left elbow. Back out Adams again. He gets a screen from Mansell. Dribbles in, little floater gun. Off the window and no good. Jackson State gets the rebound though. Ken Evans into the lane and blocked by Dickinson. Out of bounds for Jackson State.
And that's a lot of the 2-man game that you'll see from Jackson State. A little bit of a pick and roll, kind of flipping it back and forth between the elbow and the wing. And Michigan's just got to be ready to defend, move their feet, be quick laterally with this Jackson State team. Be ready to help as well on the backside.
Here's the inbounds for Jackson State. Back out Mansell. Trace Young now on the right wing. He goes to Evans. Evans averaging 18 points a game with a little runner, no good. Gets his own board. Ball's swatted around, misses the shot, and Jet Howard has it in transition. Tries a little crossover Euro on Mansell, unable to hold on to it as he gets fouled.
It's a good push by Jet. That's what I was just talking about. Michigan trying to attack the rack in transition, and Michigan didn't necessarily have numbers there, but Jet took him one-on-one, drew the foul, and now Michigan gets a baseline out.
Llewellyn the inbound. Has it deflected out. Great defense by Ken Evans. Still Michigan ball, though. 2-0 is the score, almost 3 minutes in.
Sloppy from Michigan early. Turnovers, no passes with any conviction, not hustling on the defensive end. Lack of energy so far in this building. Place is ready to... Fans want something to cheer for, and right now Michigan's not quite giving it.
Certainly outside Buffkin. Switches it to Llewellyn from the near corner. The three. Got it to go, and there's something to cheer for the Michigan fans.
That'll certainly improve his three-point percentage.
That is something that we definitely talked about. Ken Evans now, left wing. Little dribble drive action, trying to go towards the center. Trace Young from way downtown, no good. Mansell fights for the rebound. He just bats it to Hunter Dickinson. Michigan has numbers briefly. They'll try to use it. Williams for three from the left wing off the front iron.
Not a huge fan of that shot from Williams. I know he shoots it at 30%, but I like to see him attack the rack there.
Adams into transition, gets the straightaway jumper off the right elbow, and it's 4-3 in favor of the Bengal Tigers of Jackson State.
Adams playing with 2 fouls as well, so maybe Michigan can attack him as well.
Jet Howard for three, no good. Rebounded by Trace Young. Chase Adams up past the timeline in transition, and then he goes down on the court. They call a tripping foul on Jalen Llewellyn.
Adams is certainly quick with that ball in transition, the way he just pitter-patters his way up the court.
Tell you what, I'm not sure I saw him get tripped there, but that was the call. Llewellyn was not happy with it. Ken Evans will get the half-court set going here out of bounds. He goes to Young. The floater got it to go with a little around and out and in. And 6-3 is now the score. Wow. Llewellyn at the block end. He goes to Dickinson just behind the arc. Young fronting him. Dickinson directing the offense here. Goes out to Llewellyn. Screen from Dickinson. Llewellyn step up three off the back iron. No good. And then Trace Young almost loses it out of bounds, but they hold on. Jackson State has it. Mansell now working on Dickinson. Little post-up play. He'll kick it back out to Trace Young. Now it's Gabe Watson stepping into a three. No good. Hunter Dickinson with the rebound. Buffkin past the timeline. Gets the half-court set going. Jet Howard dribbles in and then gets fouled by Ken Evans.
Excellent take there from Jet Howard. A little pump fake on the three. He's been shooting it well so far from distance this year, and he's been not afraid to shoot it. He shot with a lot of confidence. Little pump fake, little jab. Try and get to the rack, draw the foul. Well done there by Jet. But Michigan's got to get something going on offense. All the cuts look slow. Just the motions look slow. It's clear that they're trying to get the ball to Dickinson, and then he's getting doubled instantly. And they are not making their shots so far. 1 of 6 from downtown, and that's been their problem all year, right? They have moments where they'll make some threes, but that's kind of the Achilles heel for this Michigan team is an inability to make jump shots. And at some point, you wonder if Juwan Howard gets guys like Joey Baker more minutes to have more shooting on the court, to allow them to play through Dickinson more and then have those kickouts where a reliable shooter like Baker can make the defense pay.
And it certainly seemed like that, just as you said, Michigan 1 of 6 from behind the arc. They're 1 of 7 from the field, just one shot from inside the three-point line so far. Kind of crazy to think about because it seemed like this Michigan team has kind of taken the mold of not the modern basketball. They don't shoot it as much from three, and when they do, they don't really make them. Is that on Juwan Howard for his recruiting? Because it seems like he never really brings in great shooters.
Well, it is an interesting question, right? And it's a question that's starting to be talked about more here in Ann Arbor. And I do believe that Juwan has an idea for what his team wants to look like. He certainly wants to have a dominant big man inside, which he's got with Dickinson. He tried to have the double threat with Diabate last year. Obviously, guys like Reed coming in will help that in the future. But the lack of shooting from guards is certainly curious, especially if you're trying to play through a big man who teams are simply doubling. Obviously, Kobe Buffkin's numbers aren't good. Llewellyn's numbers aren't good from three. And Terrence Williams is a bigger guy, and he's proven that he can make some shots, but he's not out there to space the floor and shoot the ball. But clearly he's one of their better shooters, and that's now become his job. So I think there might need to be a little bit of a philosophical change for Juwan Howard in recruiting, because even Doug McDaniel's not that great of a shooter, the new point guard in this freshman class. So It's an interesting strategy, and clearly with the way the league is going, obviously Steph Curry changing a lot of that at the NBA level, but even college, right? You see guys being able to get buckets like Ken Evans Jr. I know he hasn't quite got going tonight, but when you look at Jackson State play, there's dudes that are confident and willing to shoot. And on Michigan, it seems like it's a lot of Jet Howard, and that's about it from outside.
You know, and you brought up the 6'7" graduate transfer from Duke, and Joey Baker. He's been kind of a hot topic so far because a lot of people have said Joey Baker has rarely been on the court with Jet Howard. Very, very interesting. It seems like Juwan, to a certain extent, believes there's only one shooter on the court at all times because the rest of this Michigan team, not great of shooters. And so we'll see, likely, a little bit of Joey Baker. We'll see if he comes on with Jet Howard, and Llewellyn here will get the offense started. He goes outside. Buffkin, a three. Got it to go. They left him wide open from three. And there's that three-point shooting we were talking about.
Needed that. I mean, that was a wide-open look. That's a great out-of-timeout call, but I think teams are sagging because they think Kobe can't hit that shot very consistently, and they've been right, but made him pay there.
Jackson State now on offense. Gabe Watson down low to Trace Young on the right block. Young with a little bit of post-up work. He goes back to Gabe Watson, but instead he goes into the Michigan bench, out of bounds for the Wolverines ball.
Excellent defense by Terrence Williams, moving his feet, showing his hands, being big, making it difficult, and forcing the turnover there. That's the energy that I think Juwan Howard and this crowd want to see tonight.
Llewellyn now swings it outside. Buffkin, far corner. Williams to Jet Howard. Back to Llewellyn. He goes Terrence Williams in the near corner. He dumps it off to Hunter Dickinson down low. Dickinson going to work on Mansell. Puts up a little floater, no good. Rebounded by Trace Young. Chase Adams now directing the offense from the left wing. Surveys a little bit. He finds Mansell with a spot-up J. Got it to go from behind the foul line. How about that jump shot?
Tell you what, Adams knows how to run the offense, man. He's getting people to the spots, making some nice passes, playing with pace and purpose. It's what you like to see out of a point guard.
Llewellyn now will try to answer. A little dribble drive. He kicks it back out to Buffkin. Williams now in the corner. A three. Off the rim and no good. Hunter Dickinson almost got the rebound. Then he gets fouled. Again, 8-6 is the score in favor of Jackson State right now with 13:48 to go in the first half.
You know, besides that after timeout play, it seems like Michigan, they're getting open looks from three, but they seem to just be occurring because Jackson State loses them. It's not like they're running any amazing plays or motions. Guys are just getting open, and they're not creating a ton off dribble penetration. So I'm not exactly sure it's why they're wide open, but I think part of it is Jackson State realizes Michigan is not a great three-point shooting team, and they'll live with those shots, which, you know, as we talked about a little bit earlier, is a little bit crazy in the modern era.
And Dickinson gets both of the free throws to go to tie this game up. 8-8 is the score, 13:40 and counting to go. Adams brings it past the timeline. He goes to Ken Evans on the wing. Evans now. Back out Trace Young, right by Juwan Howard in the Michigan bench. Shoots it from way downtown. That was from another zip code and no good.
They'll live with those shots if you're Michigan. 4 feet behind the line. You're not Steph Curry, pal.
Buffkin steps into it. Straightaway three, no good. Just too long.
Neither is Kobe Buffkin, apparently.
Yeah, this Michigan team, man, we've talked about the shooting. We'll continue talking about it. Gabe Watson now, a deep three, also no good. Rebounded by Terrace Reed. Llewellyn brings up the offense. Gets a screen from Reed. Llewellyn surveying. Has it down low in the paint. Kicks it out. Buffkin was wide open for three. Didn't take it. Now Llewellyn does, though. And off the backboard for a Jackson State rebound.
And that's that hustle that we've seen from Jackson State, and Michigan's lacked a little bit tonight. There's been a lack of energy. Jackson State winning all the 50-50 balls. But again, Michigan had a couple looks from three. Buffkin was open in the corner, didn't pull it. So they've at some point, Michigan's going to have to be able to get better shots. But it's tough because they're open threes. They're good shots in today's basketball era, and they've just got to start making them.
Jackson State with the inbound. Ken Evans will get the offense started in the half court here. Trace Young dumps it off to Watson. Some perimeter movement by the Bengal Tigers. Back outside, it's Watson. Trace Young now. He's shown he likes that three, decides to dribble it in with his left, and then puts up a tough shot and got it. Doug McDaniel now into the game, past the timeline. McDaniel. Outside, it's Williams. Back to McDaniel. Buffkin now in the near wing. Buffkin dribbles it in with his right, kicks it back out to McDaniel on the right wing. Doug gets a screen from Terrace Reed. Looking around, feeds Terrace Reed down low in the post. Reed puts up a little hook shot and gets the bounce to go in. Michigan's tied it back up at 10.
Good offense by Terrace Reed, but Michigan seems to be slow in their decision-making offensively. They're taking their time, a lack of confidence in what they're doing.
Pass outside, Gabe Watson for three. Yes, sir, for Jackson State. 13-10 now with 11:30 to go. Jackson State, they are showing they're keen on taking those threes, and to a certain extent, they're making them.
And they're shooting them with confidence, too. It's just a different look off of their hand than what Michigan's putting out there, and it's not a good sign for Juwan Howard's team.
Doug McDaniel with some confidence from three, and he gets it. How about that? Well, you don't see that too often from Doug McDaniel.
No, he's a young kid, but he plays with a spark and an energy that I think this Michigan team needs right now, and it's an added bonus that he can knock down the three ball like
Trace
that.
Young steps into a fadeaway three off the front iron. Doug McDaniel now racing in transition, steps into a tray off the back iron, and then out of bounds off Terrace Reed. We'll have the under 12 timeout here as we are tied at 13 between Michigan and Jackson State.
I like the pace that McDaniel played that last play, though, within transition. Probably not the shot you want to get. You know, a pull-up from the elbow in transition one-on-one. That's probably not his shot. I would have liked to see him attack the rack there, but I like the pace that he plays with, right? And I think that's important because Michigan needs to be able to get themselves some easier baskets at the rim, which they've struggled with in the half-court offense, right? That's why they're shooting so many threes. 3 of 11 from downtown. That's not going to cut it long-term, playing teams like Virginia, teams like Kentucky, North Carolina, of course. So if Michigan wants to consider themselves a premier team, a team to be reckoned with come March, they've got to figure out this jump shot.
They definitely do, and it just seems like with the way that the NBA, for one, is going, but basketball in general is going, that three-point line is just becoming increasingly important. And who knows, maybe in 10 years we'll have a four-point line. You never know. What do you think about that, Dan?
That's an interesting take. I mean, it'd be interesting. I don't know. I kind of like just the way it is now.
Yeah, I think a four-point line would be pointless.
That's a lot. You know, Trae Young might be the best player ever. Probably be too late for Steph Curry, right? If it's in 10 years, but I might have to try and go pro if there's a four-point line with my long-range shooting ability. But no, it's an interesting thought. I mean, you know, they've evolved the game of basketball, obviously widened the key so big guys can't just like reach in and get the offensive rebounds, and games become so three-point dominant. I think adding a four-point line makes it even more, you know, long-range shooting dominant. And I think the NBA and basketball in general would appreciate a little more balance towards getting baskets near the bucket. And, you know, the mid-range game has just gone away.
Oh, it's gone away, yeah.
You know, so maybe a 2.5-point line.
Yeah, maybe. There you go. Yeah.
That'd be a good way to do it.
I tell you what, though. Either case, if you add another line here, that would make a statistician's life very difficult. Because suddenly you have another metric to look at. I mean, even right now it seems as the Michigan student section has a flag saying Ohio sucks. And, of course, they're not referring to the Ohio Bobcats. They're referring to that other team in Ohio that the Michigan football team will be playing this Saturday. Dan, let me ask you about that briefly. We got 2 football teams in action today between Michigan and Jackson State. Of course, these are the basketball teams going at it. But both of these teams undefeated in football. Just a little teaser. Give me a teaser on the Michigan-OSU game.
I'm excited. I will say it should be a good battle. The weather looks decent. You know, low 50s and sunny, which, as people have been talking about, favors Ohio State in that passing game. But Michigan's just been really solid all year, and we'll have to see how they come out and play. They've been practicing well this week. I'm sure Ohio State has as well. So It'll certainly be a game to watch on Fox at noon. But it's the game for a reason, right? And 11-0, 11-0, first time since 2006. So should be one heck of a game on Saturday.
And back to basketball, Jackson State with Gabe Watson brings it past the timeline here. Watson outside to Trace Young. Down low, it's Ken Evans, I believe, with the layup. He doesn't get it, but he gets fouled by Jace Howard. Interesting substitution by the Wolverines. Yusuf Kayat is into the game from Beirut, Lebanon.
Yeah, this is a very interesting lineup for the Wolverines. Doug McDaniel, Joey Baker, Yusuf Kayat, Jace Howard, Terrace Reed Jr.
Very tall lineup.
Very tall lineup. I have a little bit of spacing with Baker, potentially Kayat. Obviously, Reed will still patrol the paint, but excellent job there by Ken Evans to get that seal down low on Jace Howard. That's just positioning, that's footwork, that's knowing the game, and a great job by Jackson State of getting in the ball when you're in that position. Nothing more frustrating than getting to a spot that is in a good spot to get some easy points and not getting the ball. And we'll see if these free throws get Ken Evans Jr. going a little bit on the offensive
Speaking of
end.
easy points, Ken Evans makes both of them, so it's now 15-13 in favor of Jackson State with just over 10 to go. Baker now, right wing, dribbles it in and then loses it. Jackson State almost had it in transition, but they get fouled as it was Colty Young who went down for the Bengal Tigers.
That was excellent defense by Young there. The closeout on Baker was tight. It was low, but the hands were up. He didn't he didn't bite on the pump fake, forced Baker to put it on the ground, got him to do something he's a little uncomfortable with, maybe go into that left hand, force a turnover. Excellent defense.
Ken Evans now, been a little bit quiet so far. Romel Manson to Gabe Watson, top of the key. Outside Manson. Drops it back, and then it's tipped, by Kayat. Almost a backcourt violation, but no, it's not. Gabe Watson dribbles it in. Outside, Colty Young for three. Airballs it, but he was stepping out of bounds anyways. Michigan basketball.
I tell you, Gabe Watson is certainly in the holiday spirit with those shoes on. The green and red kicks. My goodness.
I like them, I gotta say.
I mean,
they're interesting.
I guess it is Christmas season after Halloween, so.
Joey Baker now up top of the key. Jace Howard, Yusuf Kayat. Swings it to Doug McDaniel. He gets a screen from Terrace Reed. McDaniel pull up Jay. Misses it off the back. Gets the rebound though. Jace Howard now near corner. Dumps it down to Terrace Reed. Reed outside, Baker in the corner. Step back, no, he didn't take it. Terrace Reed now. Kicks it back out, McDaniel has it near the block end. They gotta get a shot up, 5 seconds left here. McDaniel tries dribbling in, he has his pocket picked, and Gabe Watson eventually has it, then Ken Evans now. Dribbles it all the way up into the lane, and the layup to go, but hold your horses, they call a charge here. Great bit of defense by the Wolverines.
Excellent job by Joey Baker getting back, stepping in front, taking the charge. One of the hardest things to do in basketball is step in front of somebody running full speed at the rim and stay straight up and down. But that was a scrappy offensive possession on that last one for Michigan. It was better movement to start, but they just couldn't get a shot up. And, I think that this lineup, that's your concern, is like who's going to create here. And they do have Doug McDaniel out there.
Double screen action. McDaniel dribbles it all the way in, gets the scoop and score. Tie game again at 15 here, just under 10 minutes to go. And back into the game for Jackson State, it's Chase Adams. He kicks it out to Colty Young, down low to Mansell. Mansell looks around, wow, my goodness. Chase Adams with a great cut, left wide open, and then got the layup to go.
I was just about to praise Doug McDaniel for the pace he's playing with, but he just got beat on a cut right in front of his face to the rack. That is about as bad as defense as you can play.
Doug McDaniel gets two screens at the top of the key, dumps it back out. Jace Howard will take that three and make that three. Michigan has their first lead in a minute here with 8:30 to go, 18-17 in Chrysler. Chase Adams hanging around at the block end. He has McDaniel fronting him. He gets a screen from Mansell. Switches, Kayat's on him now. Adams will go to work on Yusuf Kayat, puts up a floater off the back iron, rebounded by Joey Baker. Here comes Michigan in transition. Baker kicks it out. McDaniel had the three, didn't take it. Dribbles it in, dumps it off Terrace Reed now on the low block. Reed kicks it back out. McDaniel will take this three and off the back iron. Rebounded by Michigan, but out of bounds is Yusuf Kayet. It'll be Jackson State ball, and it'll be the under 8 timeout. 18-17 is the score in Ann Arbor.
It's pretty clear in the few minutes that Yusuf Kayet spent on the floor why he's getting those minutes. He's playing hard, right? And he's playing with an energy that I think a lot of the other Michigan guys lack, and I think that's why Juwan Howard kind of likes this lineup. You've got a bunch of energy guys, Jace Howard, Yusuf Kayet, Doug McDaniel, Joey Baker took that charge, and then Terrace Reed Jr. can still kind of man the middle. We did see Dickinson actually just walk back out of the tunnel kind of rubbing his hip, so that might be something to keep an eye on going forward. Obviously, Michigan needs him for their offensive production, but I mean, they're 4 of 13 from 3, Michigan is, and Jackson State's 1 of 7, so we are slowly building a house here in Chrysler Center made out of bricks, but I like the confidence that McDaniel plays with, but he's just got to keep that switch on at all times. He got beat on the cut by Adams for an easy layup, and that is not good defending. It's not going to make Juwan Howard happy, and that will certainly be called out in the film room, but he's got a motor. He's got a drive that I think Michigan fans will appreciate, and this change of pace that really matches up well with Chase Adams, actually. Both kind of smaller guards, both guys that quick change their pace a little bit, play with pace, play with confidence, but
You know, and you said maybe this isn't the house that Kazi built. Maybe it's the house of bricks here. Just as you said, look at these field goal percentage. 32% from the field for Michigan, 39% from the field for Jackson State. Better, but not much better. It has been rough out here. What's going wrong?
I'd say it's decent effort, right? There's good effort on the court. But I wouldn't say the defense is like anything spectacular.
There's got to be a lot of just missed shots that they got to make.
It's a lot of just like, I don't think the offenses exactly know what they're doing. And we kind of expected that a little bit from Jackson State, right? They're not a team that has a lot of assists. It's a lot of one-on-one ball, which tells you that, one, they make tough shots, and two, they're confident in taking tough shots. And that's fine, and if that's how they want to play, that's great. I'm sure Mo Williams would love to see the ball move a little bit more. But for Michigan, the spacing just looks a little weird. They look sort of out of sorts. It's like when Dickinson's out there, it's like, all right, we got to feed him the ball, and then we go from there. And they don't run enough motions to kind of get him the ball. It seems like these last few possessions with Reed, at least the first 10 to 15 seconds of the shot clock, they've gotten into a better motion, gotten to a better movement and spacing, and nothing's really come of it. But I like the ideas and the plays that they have kind of built in when Terrace Reed is in there. And I think that's why this lineup is having a little bit of success. Obviously, they haven't been able to pull away on the scoreboard, but they're playing harder. They're just more set and more. They just look like a better team now out there.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on with Hunter Dickinson here. He continues to stretch out that leg. Maybe just a cramp or a Charlie horse or something.
Could be why we're seeing Yusuf Kayet as well.
That's a good point. But certainly Terrace Reed, too. Maybe we'll see some Greg Glenn action later in this game. Nonetheless, Chase Adams will get us back underway here in Chrysler. Adams, Doug McDaniel goes down. Adams with a spin around jumper. Not even close. Joey Baker gets the rebound on his legs. On his backside, excuse me. And Doug McDaniel now has it for the Wolverines. Jace Howard to Yusuf Kayet at the top. Doug McDaniel left wide open. They're giving him some space. McDaniel will switch it out. Joey Baker, 1 foot within the three-point line, and no good. Rebounded by Chase Adams. He's got quite a few rebounds today. Outside, Colty Young for 3 in transition for Jackson State. They got it. Colty Young, big time for the Bengal Tigers.
Pulled up with some confidence there as Juwan Howard goes with his
whole
starters back to the scorer's table to check in.
McDaniel now, little jab to his left. Got it all the way to the hoop. Easy layup to go. Tie game at 20. Chase Adams dribbles to his left, working on Jace Howard, kicks it back out, deflected off Yusuf Kayet, and it'll be Jackson State ball. Michigan will bring in a whole new 5 here. Just as you said, Jalen Llewellyn, Kobe Buffkin, all the starters back on. Jet Howard, Hunter Dickinson, and Terrence Williams.
Excellent job by Yusuf Kayet coming in, filling in for some minutes. Great defensive effort from him, and I like the pace that McDaniel played offensively. Obviously, got to stay switched on defense, but good job by that bench unit there for Michigan.
Chase Adams looking so quick. Gets the offense set, goes to Gabe Watson. What a tough pull-up by Gabe Watson as he drains it for Jackson State.
I think Michigan will live with that jump shot there.
Llewellyn now in the half court. Switches it to Jet Howard. He goes down low to Hunter Dickinson. And they call a foul on Trace Young, it looks like. Didn't really look like too much contact there, but nonetheless, it'll be Jackson State's 6th foul. Conversely, Michigan has just 4 team fouls with 6:25 to go in the first half. Llewellyn with the inbound to Buffkin. Outside, it's Williams. Back to Llewellyn. Llewellyn now on the top of the key. A little bit of movement for the Wolverines. Buffkin now in the near corner. Dribbles it in with his right. Tries to find a pass back out. He finds Dickinson on the low block, and he puts up a little jumper and drains it for the Wolverines.
I think Buffkin got away with a little bit of a travel there. Seemed to jump in the air, not sure what to do with it. I kind of thought he came down before he got rid of the pass, but refs didn't agree, and Dickinson knocks in a jumper. Maybe that can get him going offensively.
Trace Young kicks it out. Trace Young takes the 3, rattles in and out. Buffkin has the ball now for the Wolverines. He gets a screen from Dickinson. Buffkin looking around. Feeds it down low to Dickinson off the left elbow. Back outside, it's Terrence Williams. Little dribble drive in and then a fadeaway out and drains the jumper. 24-22 in favor of Michigan now. Chase Adams now gets the Jackson State offense set. Gets a screen from Mansell. Kicks it out. Watson, a deep 3 off the front iron. And then rebounded by Trace Young, and he throws it off Terrence Williams. It'll be Jackson State ball.
Williams has got to go grab that ball. He knows it, but timeout Jackson State here. But the previous possession where Williams got his bucket, I know Michigan got into a little bit of emotion, a little bit of a set there, and Williams got to the baseline, hit a little step-back jump shot. But Juwan Howard was yelling at Hunter Dickinson to get down the court and set that screen after grabbing the rebound. And I think he's recognizing that Michigan can get some easier baskets if they play with a little bit more pace, right? And I can understand that, these first few games, Michigan's still trying to find themselves a little bit, who they are as a team, what their identity is. And I think they're starting to figure out that playing with a little bit more pace is beneficial to them. Because if they're playing, on the half court on offense, teams are just going to be giving them those threes all day. I mean, if they're shooting 4 of 13 from downtown, teams are going to live with that. So Michigan's got to continue to play with pace, and that starts with Buffkin and it starts with Llewellyn. And both of them seem a little bit hesitant to push. So
on the flip side, Jackson State has been very, very willing to take these threes. They've had 10 attempts, only made 2 of them. They've taken a few deep threes too, as Chase Adams now has it for the Bengal Tigers. He goes outside Gabe Watson by the Michigan bench, guarded by Buffkin. Dumps it off to Mansell. Mansell now works on Dickinson into the lane and blocked by Hunter Dickinson. Buffkin with the rebound. Kobe now, dribble drive with his right, goes up for it and then gets fouled. And he'll head to the line for 2.
Starters, excellent defense by Dickinson. The lateral quickness wasn't quite there. Mansell got right by him to the rack, but the recovery with the length. And then I loved what Kobe Buffkin did there. We were just talking about playing with pace. It was 4-on-4, but Buffkin took him to the rack with his right hand, which is his non-dominant hand. Draw the foul, now get some free throws. But I believe it's for the bonus. This is not 2 shots, just a 1-and-1 here.
Oh, they called it on the court, you're right.
As Michigan's now in the bonus.
Buffkin now. Dribbles it once, takes a deep breath, puts up the free throw, and gets it. So now 25-22. Michigan a 3-point lead. Very little bit of a nervous start here in Chrysler to be up only 3 against the SWAC opponent. Man, it is just dead silent in Chrysler Center right now. You can hear a pen drop as Buffkin puts up the second free throw and drains it. So 26-22 now. A little bit of a full court press by the Wolverines. Chase Adams breaks it easily up to Watson. Throws the oop to Trace Young. And he throws it down. How about that for the Bengal Tigers? Throw down the hammer there, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, break out the press. Take that. Stick them.
Yes, sir. Buffkin now. Some perimeter movement for the Wolverines. Jet Howard looked for a shot. He'll dump it back out. Llewellyn down low. Low block. Dickinson outside. Llewellyn for 3 from the corner. Off the back iron. And Williams gets the rebound. Terrence Williams into the lane and then fouled, and he'll go to the line.
Well done by Terrence Williams and Kobe Buffkin, who came in from that backside trying to grab that offensive rebound, knocked it around. Williams got it, just went up strong. Terrence Williams is a big, strong guy. He needs to do that a little bit more, get to the line. Maybe Michigan can establish a little bit momentum shooting by getting to the free throw line, knocking down some free throws. But, man, that lob by Jackson State on the previous. Break the press, just confidence, throw it up, and the hammer by Mansell.
Yeah, that was Gabe Watson throwing it from around the 40-foot mark, and yeah, Mansell just no one near him. Terrence Williams gets the first free throw. 27-24 is now the score in Ann Arbor with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left in this first half. I'm not sure too many people expected this, but this is a Michigan team that, just as we said, has really struggled to their start of this season.
They've been scrappy. They haven't looked great. They haven't looked awful. They're just kind of playing to their competition, and maybe
gritty.
They can, right.
Yeah.
You know, they've been gritty in a sense. They pulled out win. I mean, 4-1, good start. You'll take it, but you'd like to see a little bit better execution. Obviously, both sides of the ball, and start beating teams like Jackson State by 15 or 20 here.
Williams swishes the second free throw, and now it's Mansell down low, working on Dickinson. He kicks it out. Watson will take that three all day long from the left wing, and a swish of the net. A swish of the nylon, Bill Raftery would say. And Jackson State within 1 now.
Buffkin got lost a little bit on defense, leaving Watson wide open. Another just inconsistent moment from Michigan there on the defensive end.
Llewellyn on the far ring. He kicks it to Buffkin, who tried to dump it off to Williams. Instead, it goes out of bounds. No one touched it. Jackson State's going to have it after a media timeout, the under 4-minute timeout. With 3:44 to go, again, the score is 28-27 in favor of the Wolverines. Dan, what is going on here? I mean, how is this a 1-point game right now?
I mean, Michigan continues to be inconsistent, right? We see a good play by Buffkin grabbing the offensive rebound. Terrence Williams going back up strong, getting the 2 free throws. But then we see a play where Buffkin tries to drop it off to Terrence Williams after faking the shot, and it just goes out of bounds. And Michigan's not creating. There's no – I keep coming back to this word, but I think it perfectly fits what's going on. There's just a lack of consistency, right? It's like these guys just haven't played – enough like pickup ball with each other, in a sense. Like it's so stagnant.
Well, and they're very young, to be fair. This is a very, very different team than they had last year. Very youthful team. I mean, they lost a few guys to transfer. I don't mean to cut you off, Dan, but they lost a few guys to transfer in Zeb Jackson and Frankie Collins. I mean, lost quite a few guys. And then they also lost a few graduate students as well. Of course, Devontae Jones gone. Isaiah Livers, that was 2 years ago. But there's been a lot of turnover on this team. And so do you think it's just a situation of they just got to play more together?
I'd like to hope so. Right? I'd like to think that's what Juwan Howard believes is, okay, if we can get these guys to play more together. And you can see it, right? He brings out 2 units, right? There's a bench unit and there's a starter unit. But at a certain point, you have to figure out kind of what your best lineups are. I mean, playing Virginia next game, right? That's a massive game with national implications. And you're struggling with Ohio, Eastern Michigan, and now Jackson State here in the first half at home. Granted, Eastern wasn't at home, but in Detroit, right? Kind of a neutral site game. But, I mean, Michigan,
at some point,
they do have experience, right? Dickinson has played a couple years now. Jalen Llewellyn's played a lot of college basketball. Buffkin got some run last year. Same with Terrence Williams. It just seems like it's like get Dickinson the ball and then just stand there and let the double come and try and do some stuff from there. Or it's run some motion, but we just kind of going through it without any intention of scoring or making a play for somebody else. And I mean, that leads you to playing teams close, right? And Jackson State is playing, I'd say Jackson State is playing harder than Michigan right now. They're getting the 50-50 balls, and that's kind of what's keeping them in this game right now because they're not shooting the ball well at all either.
And to your point, at some point, maybe it's not even just one down performance or a bad game. This might just be this team. We'll have to wait and see, of course. We'll see what happens in the second half.
Or
the
just
rest of
this
first
5.
half.
I mean, we talked about the lack of a Jet Joey Baker lineup, and they have not played a minute together tonight. So it's Juwan persistent with what he's trying to do, and fair enough, but You know, there will be a time where things have to change if they keep playing like this.
Chase Adams now calls the play for Jackson State. It's Gabe Watson, 8 seconds on the shot clock. He dumps it down to Mansell in the post. Mansell kicks it out. Colty Young wide open from 3, off the front iron, and Dickinson with the rebound. Llewellyn into the forecourt. He goes outside. Williams will drive that to the rack. He then dumps it off to Kobe Buffkin from 3, wide open and just no good. Chase Adams gets it now. Adams working on Llewellyn. Crossover, then goes back to Gabe Watson. He gets a screen from Jamarcus Jones. Chase Adams then a little jab step. Instead, it's a little bit of a travel.
A little too quick for himself there. Kind of took a little walk, but a little evening stroll here in Ann Arbor.
Evening stroll in like 40-degree weather. Is there a thing?
I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what it is now. It's nice out now that it's not 20 degrees outside.
That is true. Llewellyn now has it on the left wing for the Wolverines. Fans chanting them on. Dickinson sets a screen. Llewellyn kicks it out. Terrence William dribbles it in at the charity stripe. Jumper, got it. 30-27. Chase Adams now on the block M. Looks for the play call from their head coach, Mo Williams. Former NBA player, of course, Mo Williams.
NBA champion, too.
NBA champion, very good point. Gabe Watson now on the left wing. Buffkin fronts him. Watson dumps it off to Mansell at the left elbow. He dribbles it in. Tries to do something on Dickinson, then swings it back out to Watson. He dumps it off to Jamarcus Jones, I believe, who then got fouled. We'll see who the call is on. It's just Michigan's 5th team foul. Or excuse me, actually, it's a possession call in favor of Jackson State.
Great recovery by Jett Howard on the backside, tying him up, going up for the layup. Good defensive energy there.
And just 0.9 seconds on the shot clock, but Gabe Watson put up a quick 3 off the mark and then rebounded by Colty Young, and then he got fouled. A lot just happened in that less than 1 second span. 1:57 to go in this first half. 30-27 in favor of the Wolverines of Michigan here. Colty Young will inbound it. He goes outside to Jamarcus Jones and then Chase Adams. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Adams with Llewellyn fronting him. Left wing. Down to Mansell. At the top of the key, back out, it's Adams. He'll kind of crisscross his way and then dumps it out to Watson from a deep 3 off the mark and rebounded by Hunter Dickinson.
I tell you what, Watson is not afraid of pulling that jump shot.
Jett Howard now into the lane, has his pocket picked, but instead they call a foul, I believe. That'll be Jackson State's 9th team foul here. Michigan will be approaching the double bonus.
See if Jett Howard can knock down these free throws and get going a little bit. Michigan 6 of 6 from the line. There's the announcer jig, so he's probably going to miss one. But Jett Howard 0 for 2 today. He's looked for the extra pass, which I can appreciate. But he's got to be taking more of those threes, I think, right? I mean, he's got 2 threes, but Jalen Llewellyn is 1 of 5 from 3, and I think Howard would rather have his son Jett be shooting the 5 threes and Llewellyn shooting the 2 and kind of orchestrating the offense a little bit more.
And Howard makes the front end of the 1-1, so he'll have a second here, 31-27. The fans give a quick clap, and Howard hits the second free throw.
I undid the announcer's curse.
I was going to say,
well
I thought it was going to
me.
be a Kevin Harlan moment, but maybe not. Maybe it will be later in this game. Who knows? Stay tuned. Colty Young now, down low to Mansell. He dumps it off to Jamarcus Jones. Mansell now just within the three-point line, off the mark, rebounded by Kobe Buffkin.
It's a long 2. They really like getting Mansell the ball at the elbows and letting him kind of work, set some screens, some off-ball stuff as well. Hasn't been the most productive for him, though. I wonder how long they'll stick with that. I think Michigan will live with that.
Buffkin now steps into a jumper off the mark and rebounded by number 0, Gabe Watson for Jackson State. Watson into the forecourt, has it stolen by Kobe Buffkin into the transition. Buffkin, a little bit of a euro, and then off the window and in. 34-27 now. Michigan pulling away a little bit of distance now. Chase Adams will steady the Jackson State offense. A 10-second difference between the shot clock and game clock. Adams dices his way through the defense and then has it deflected off of his knee, I believe. So it'll be Michigan ball with 24 seconds left. And Juwan Howard's going to call a timeout to try to take advantage of this last possession here.
I tell you, Chase Adams is quick, man. That dude flies around the basketball court. Sometimes a little too quick for his own good, though. The travel, obviously, earlier, and then they're dribbling it off his knee, but it seems like he plays with the pace that could be used if it's purposeful, could be extremely effective. And it has been so far for Jackson State, but we can see Michigan start to pull away a little bit here. And I think it, one, stems from better defensive energy, right? You can see guys up off the bench giving high fives when guys make a play, which is important, builds the team, chemistry, morale, builds confidence as well. And, Kobe Buffkin with the steal on that last and the easy layup, and it gets, like I've been saying, it gets easy buckets, right? And that's good for the Wolverines here, who have struggled offensively tonight. I know they have 34 points, but that's, in this day and age, it's a little bit more on the lower side. So we'll see if they can grab a bucket here to end the half and maybe push this lead to double digits.
Yeah, well, and how big would a 3 be here to be up double digits after the way they played in this first half? We'll see. 15 seconds on the game clock. Llewellyn dribbles it around. He goes to Buffkin, gets the pass back. Llewellyn now surveying. He dumps it outside to Jet Howard. Step back 3 from the corner and drains it. Bingo from Jet Howard. Oh my goodness. And then Chase Adams, a 3/4 court shot off the backboard and no good. Michigan has that 10-point lead, 37-27, coming into the halftime. If you had said that was going to be the halftime score just 2 minutes ago, I probably wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah, Michigan certainly closed strong. That Jet Howard 3 was ridiculous, though. A little step back, hand in the face. That's kind of that shot you take at the recreational building or the YMCA playing pickup ball because you think you're cool, but Jet Howard just did it here at Chrysler Arena, and nothing but the bottom of the net. So he knows how to play ball, but like we were talking about, right? Like Llewellyn's taken 5 threes and he's made 1 of them, and now Jet's making a tough shot, and Michigan is gonna need, if they can figure out a way to consistently make some of their tough shots, they'll be able to put up 70, 75 points. And I know that's probably the case with a lot of teams, but it seems like it rings more true with Michigan, given how hard scoring the ball seems to be for them consistently. And I just wanted to kind of point out one more thing that I think is interesting. And it seems like they practice their offense a lot, right? Like you can tell that they run through the motions and they set the screens and they do everything, but it's sort of like Juwan hasn't said, all right, now score. It's more like defensive practice than it is actually offensive practice for them. And I'd like to see them get into a little bit more of a mindset of like, hey, like we have to turn this on and start getting some buckets. And I can understand the willingness to shoot threes as kind of a sign of like, hey, we're going to be more offensively aggressive. It didn't quite pay off for them this half, 31.3%. That's up from their season average, but obviously they'd like to shoot the 3 ball a little bit better than that.
Yeah, and they end the half on a 9-0 run in the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds there. They also stepped up that defense too. Jackson State 0 of 4 on their last 4 field goals, and they've had a scoring drought just over 4 minutes in this game. If you're Jackson State, if you're Mo Williams at halftime here, how do you turn this thing around where it seems like you played a great first half? They had Michigan reeling nonstop here in Chrysler, and yet they're down 10. How do they get back into this game and have a chance at the end of this game?
I think, they were in it for a while. They're still very, very much in this game, and you can just you can tell that they are very streaky, right? They take a lot of shots that are streaky shots. If you're hot, you're going to make them, and there's kind of some ridiculous like step back threes and whatnot. But if they're not shooting well, and Michigan's picked up the energy, certainly, Jackson State's going to struggle to put points on the board. So I think they've got to get to a little bit more of a drive and kick game. Michigan's done an excellent job defending that tonight, by the way, as well. That's one of the, defensively, fundamentally, that's one of the things they've done really, really well. And they've got to continue to do that. But if you're Jackson State, I think need a little bit more movement, a little bit more backdoor screens. Michigan got beat on a couple backdoor cuts in that first half, so I think you can get them there and then have them try and over-rotate, kick out, and then those threes will start to come because they've got the guys that are confident in shooting the ball. But 3 of 13 from 3 isn't going to cut it. 11-30 from the field isn't going to cut it. And, I mean, Ken Evans Jr., he's got to figure out a little bit of a way to get his best offensive player going. Mo Williams knows basketball, man. I'm sure he'll figure out a way to get Jackson State going. And I think it'll be an interesting second half, to say the least.
Oh, I would definitely agree. And, to everybody listening, of course, make sure to stay tuned. We have a very interesting second half underway. Owen Klein will be on that call. But, to your point, Ken Evans just 2 points, 0 of 2 from the field. How do you kind of get your best player going? Ken Evans came into this game averaging 18 a game and some solid shooting numbers too, 38% from 3. How do they get Ken Evans going? Because it seems like there hasn't really been too much space for him.
Yeah, Michigan's done an excellent job kind of paying attention to Ken Evans, and rightfully so, right? 18 points a game, one of the better scorers for Jackson State. But I think if you're Mo Williams, I think you've got to find ways to get easy buckets, right? And easier said than done, right? But if you can get out in transition, get a couple stops, get Ken Evans running down the court, get some layups, maybe attacking the rim a little bit more, get to the free throw line, so you can just see some shots go through, I think would be beneficial for him. And that'll kind of, make the basket look a little bit bigger, and he can start knocking down some shots, because they're going to need him now at this point. I think Michigan's kind of established an energy level and a identity a little bit in this game of we're going to play a little bit faster, we're going to get to the bucket a little bit more, and we're not going to be afraid to shoot the 3. So Jackson State's going to have a magical performance from Ken Evans in the second half, or somebody, right? But Ken Evans Jr. has been that guy for them this year, so they'll scheme something up. They'll get him running through some motions, try and get some easy buckets for him, and then let him take over, because he's really talented, man. And once talented guys see the ball go through the basket a couple times, they watch out.
And yeah, just over 10 minutes left here of this halftime before we're back underway in Chrysler. Dan, let me ask you this too. It seems like Michigan's situation isn't really, it's not one of those they don't have enough talent. All the talent seems to be there. Juwan Howard's constantly recruiting 4- and 5-star players. So what's the problem for this team? And a follow-up on that, do you think there are long-term issues with this team? Because, one could argue that they just don't have the shooters, and that will be a long-term problem maybe.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a long-term problem, right? I don't know. You can develop jump shots, but that's not, and you see the most progress with that in the offseason.
Exactly.
Right?
Not really during the season.
Right, in season that's tough, right? Some guy might just get hot, might make a string of threes or whatever, but yeah, so the three-point shooting is definitely concerning. They definitely have a lot of talent. I think Juwan Howard's a really good coach. I just think that the pieces just don't quite fit together right now, right? It just seems a little bit like getting the ball to Dickinson and letting him go to work. Teams will either let him go to work and it'll still be a close game because he'll get his 25 but nobody else will make anything, or teams will double and make other people make something. And like tonight, we're seeing a little bit more success with that, and I think that stems from Juwan giving guys like Llewellyn and Bufkin and Williams and, of course, Jett a lot of confidence. More confidence to shoot the ball, because at this point, the only way to see in-season improvements on the deep ball is just shooting them in game, right? Getting game reps is really important, and tonight's a good night to do that, I think. So they've got to continue to progress in that area. And are they capable of doing it? Sure, right? Like every basketball player is more than capable of shooting the basketball, right? It's just a matter of in game at that pace, can you make them when it's on the line, right? So
yeah, I mean, there's some situations where I'd argue there's some shot mechanics issues. We see that.
Well, certainly, but they're at the Division I level because they know how to play basketball. And part of that is being able to shoot a little bit. So.
Oh, I fully agree with that. And so it'll be very interesting to see if Michigan is able to, turn that around and right the ship to a certain extent. And so, we'll see what happens in the second half. We'll see what happens the rest of this season. In all honesty, as we now have Owen Klein on the call, he'll be doing the play-by-play for the second half. Owen, what did you see? I asked the same question, obviously, to Dan, but what did you see in that first half that tells you, you know what, Jackson State maybe has a shot here?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because if you watch the Ohio game this past week, it was kind of a similar feel. Ohio was in the game for a while, and here Jackson State was up for most of the first half until Michigan had a nice run in the second half. And you're right, Jackson State is totally in this game. It's only a 10-point game. They're playing really, really hard. I think there's obviously a talent disparity between Michigan and Jackson State, but this tells me that Michigan still has a lot to figure out. You saw Yusuf Kaya get his first minutes today. I found that quite interesting. In the group substitutions, they played the starters, and they took them all out, and then they put them all right back in at the same time. So I think this is a bit of an experiment. Is this game over? No. By no stretch is it over. Jackson State certainly still got a shot. But I think Jawan, Howard, and the coaching staff, it's clear that they're still trying to figure out the identity of this team.
You know, and you brought up a great point. In that Ohio game, it seemed like Michigan maybe was going to pull away a couple times in that game. They never really did. Of course, it ended up going to overtime off that crazy buzzer beater. And then in overtime, they also struggled, only won the game by 4 points. And so this is very much still in play. You know, one interesting observation that I had in the first half that Dan and I talked about in the pregame was that Jawan Howard does not play Joey Baker with Jet Howard on the court. It's very interesting. I don't know.
It is interesting.
There's been some people on Twitter I know who picked up on this, but it seems like Jawan has this belief that there can only really be one great shooter almost on the court. And so maybe we see some of that in the second half. What adjustments would you make for Michigan to put this game away? If you're Jackson State also, what adjustments do you make to get back into this game?
Here's what I'll say about the shooting, and I think you're totally right that we see that. A big problem of last year's team was the lack of outside shooting. We had high expectations coming in for guys like Caleb Houston, obviously didn't pan out. You bring in a guy like Joey Baker, a sharp shooter from Duke, and you expect this team this year to be a lot better shooting, but that simply isn't the case so far this year, and I know it's still early, but I think there's a very clear reason why we see that separation of minutes between Jet and Joey Baker, and that's just simply because there aren't enough consistent shooters on this team. If you're playing them both at the same time, they're both going to have to rest at the same time at times, and Michigan simply can't afford that right now. Sorry, remind me of your question, the adjustments in the second half, right?
Yeah, the adjustments that you would make for both sides.
Michigan's three-point struggles continue. 31% from the field. They got a couple good looks early. Jalen Llewellyn, it was good to see him make one of them. He's had a struggle to start shooting the ball so far this year. But keep the ball moving. Try to limit the turnovers. Michigan's got 5. They've been actually pretty good at limiting turnovers offensively this year. Just run your offense, run your stuff. You're outsized, you're out-talent this Jackson State team. Run your stuff, and it will come. And as far as Jackson State, just keep playing hard. They're playing a good game. It's entertaining. It's fun to watch. They had a really nice alley-oop. That was some Showtime basketball there from half court. I'm sure the WCBN listeners heard you guys going crazy about that. But, yeah, I mean, I would just say it's been entertaining so far. Jackson State, just keep playing hard. They're a fun team to watch.
Yeah, and, you know, you got to give them a lot of credit. A very small school. Well, maybe not as small anymore with guys like Deion Sanders, of course, Mo Williams, the head coach for basketball. But, you know, a small school in the SWAC showing up in a Big Ten powerhouse's arena, and they're making plays, man. They are certainly making plays. Again, the score is 37-27 as the Michigan basketball team comes back onto the court here. We have around 3.5 minutes to go before we get started in the second half. And so, Owen, I'll hand this off to you. Dan will be back on the call making color commentary. Owen will be doing play-by-play. So let's see a very good second half. Hopefully very interesting. Doesn't necessarily have to be a close game, blowout. Just got hope for an interesting game here.
It's all about the WCBN listeners. We're going to give you guys a good time no matter what the circumstances, so stay tuned.
There you go, there you go. So, Owen, take this one over, and I'll hand this over to you, Dan.
Thank you, Neal. We do another switcheroo here. We've got Dan back on the call, color commentary. I'm sure you voiced your thoughts during halftime, but just run me through your quick thoughts of the game. Michigan up 10 right now. Jackson State got out to a lead early, but Michigan closed the gap and eventually took back the lead to end the second half. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's been a very scrappy game, I'd say, right? I feel like Michigan's not playing their best. Jackson State's not playing their best. I'd say at the end of the half, what kind of separated the teams is that Jackson State's been taking a lot of tough shots today, and they started missing some of those. And part of that is just returning to, you know, the average, right? You're going to miss tough shots. But I think a lot of that is Michigan partly created more tough shots with their energy defensively and also contested a little bit better, right? And I think, you know, the bench was a little bit more up. Guys were giving high fives. The crowd got into it a little bit more. And and it helps too when you're starting to figure out a little bit of form on the offensive end. It gives you a little bit more confidence, a little bit more energy to play defense. So I liked what I saw those last few minutes from Michigan. And I think if you're Jackson State, though, you're pretty confident, right? You're shooting it awful, and you're still in this game. You're only down 10, and you know Michigan is very capable of going dry themselves on offense. So just got to get hot, get Ken Evans Jr. going a little bit more, and Jackson State will be right there.
Certainly. And I'd like to get your thoughts on a recent development that Juwan and the coaching staff
Today. And it's just Michigan is not that at all. But the starters, I was saying that they need to. It seems like they haven't played a lot of just like pickup ball together. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not enough
feel for each other.
Right. They don't have a feel. There's not just like a natural flow to it. It all looks very rigid. It's like, hey, we'll get Dickinson the ball and then we'll go. Then he'll get doubled, then he'll kick it out, and we'll go from there. Or we run a set, and, like, we just kind of keep running the set. Like, the coach hasn't said, okay, now shoot the ball, right? It's more of a defensive drill, basically. And that's got to change for Michigan going forward. There needs to be a little bit more fluidity because all these guys are extremely talented, right? Jawan's an excellent recruiter. These are 4-star, 5-star kids. They just got to start playing natural basketball. And, you know, you can see how it can be pretty solid, right? Those last few minutes were certainly this 9-0 run has certainly been a point of, hey, Michigan can play some pretty good ball here, but again, just can they do it for longer stretches than just 3 minutes and have a run bigger than 9-0, right? So we'll see. Jackson State is very, very much in this basketball game right now.
Let's see if Michigan can, in fact, extend the lead here in the second half as we are about to begin. Score is 37-27 Wolverines lead. Relatively balanced scoring attack thus far. Kobe Buffkin and Doug McDaniel lead the Wolverines scoring-wise with 7 apiece. Doug with one of the better halves of his young Michigan career. 3 of 6 from the field, 1 of 2 from deep. He's got 2 rebounds in his 6, all in 6 minutes. So Doug McDaniel, maybe, I know we've talked about this off the air, but so far Juwan Howard has prioritized bringing in transfer point guards. And Mike Smith and Devontae Jota have been fine. But you look at some of the guys in the John Beilein era, Xavier Simpson, Derek Walton, even Trey Burke. I think there certainly is an advantage to having a point guard that you've developed starting in their freshman year all the way through their senior year. Can Doug McDaniel be that guy?
He certainly can be. I mean, I thought the same thing about Frankie Collins last year. They're both pretty similar, actually. Collins maybe a little bit taller, a little bit less pacey, if that makes any sense. But I like the way McDaniel played in that first half offensively. I thought he brought the right amount of pop. He got to the rack enough. But offensively, he's got some things to work on. He could be the guy, very much so. And I'd like to see him continue to develop the second half of the year.
Second half has commenced here in Chrysler. Early whistle. It's going to be on Jackson State. Ball remains with the Wolverines. Not sure who the foul's on. It's going to be on Evans. We talked about Evans. Kind of a lackluster first half scoring-wise. He's their leading scorer at 18 points a game. Only had 2 in the opening half. Williams, big dribble, and one. Terrence Williams gets the starting scored early here for Michigan in the second half. Chance for a 3-point play.
Like that move from Williams. Another excellent, out-of-bounds play from Juwan Howard there. Get Williams the ball at the low block. One power dribble. Go up with it strong and through the contact. And I want to see more of that from Terrence Williams. Saw a couple of that in the first half. I mean, he's big, right? And he's shooting these threes. And it's like, man, if you could just get down low and get some easy buckets for him, I think he could really take off as a player. And obviously don't mind him shooting jump shots. You'd just like to see him get some more easy layups with that physical frame of his.
Free throw is missed, so the lead remains at 12 for Michigan. 19 and a half to go here in the game. For Jackson State, it's Mansell working on Hunter Dickinson. Pump fake, Dickinson stays on his feet. Strip the ball, Mansell goes up, lost it. Rebound, Jackson State. Timeout is called. Oh, they actually teed up Mo Williams, the Jackson State coach. A little too much barking in the referee's ear, and he had enough.
Well, he has a little bit of a right to be mad there. Dickinson stripped the first one, and the refs called it a block on the second one. I don't know about that. Looked like a lot of wrist from my vantage point, but Howard at the line trying to make him pay.
Jed Howard, technical free throw is good. He'll have one more coming up. Score is 40-27. Michigan leads.
And that foul that started the second half on Ken Evans, that's his third now. That's a big foul. He's been out of rhythm all night. I talked about him as the player that could take Jackson State, carry them to this W. And at this point, he's out of rhythm. And I think Mo Williams is doing the right thing of playing him despite these 3 fouls because they need his scoring right now. Everything is hard for Jackson State. Some of it's on Michigan, but a lot of it's on Jackson State just taking tough shots.
Ken Evans, the hometown hero for Jackson State, as they convert an and one opportunity. That's Gabe Watson with the bucket and the foul.
Another beautiful out-of-bounds play. I mean, I don't know if these defenses just aren't executing very well, but these screens are well done. They're getting guys to the rim out of bounds, easy buckets, right? And that shows good coaching, right?
Watson missed the free throw rebound. Llewellyn. Michigan lead stays at 11. Approaching 19 minutes to go here in the game. Williams right wing. Chet Howard now left wing, swings to Llewellyn. Good ball movement here by the Wolverines. Howard gets a screen from Dickinson. Finds Bufkin in the corner on a wild pass. Inside goes Hunter. Comes a double team. Turn hook is good. Beautiful move there by Hunter Dickinson as he extends the Michigan lead to 13.
Yeah, it looks like he just turned around and just kind of flipped it up. Classic Dickinson move, but effective there. And well done by Michigan. Kept the spacing there long enough for Dickinson to get to his spot and hit a shot.
Chase Adams down the lane, missed the layup. Dickinson outlet to Bufkin. It's 1-on-2. Kobe will get it out to Jet. Right back to Kobe for 3 from the corner. Airmail. Left it short. Perhaps a little too much energy there for Kobe Bufkin.
Yeah, that was not a good-looking jump shot. I like the pace that they played with, though.
Trace Young responds with the 3, and Jackson State pulls within 10 here.
And he's another guy that can get hot quick. So Jackson State's got some options here. Obviously, we talked a lot about Ken Evans Jr., but Young is their second leading scorer, and he gets the rebound there off of Llewellyn driving this.
Young bringing it back up for the Tigers. They reset. Ken Evans, their star up top, gives to Chase Adams. Now Gabe Watson up top, guarded by Kobe Bufkin. Swings Adams, left wing. Comes the screen. Adams probing inside. Finds his big man Monsell outside. Now gives it to Watson. Got Bufkin in the air. Step back 3 for Watson is no good. Rebound Hunter Dickinson. Approaching 17 and a half here to go in the game. Michigan leads by 10. It's 42-32 from Cresser Arena. Jalen Llewellyn now for the Wolverines. Getting inside. Tried to go for the jump shot. Had it stripped. The foul will be called on Llewellyn. Chase Adams with a nice defensive play there.
Yeah, he's got quick feet. He's also got quick hands. Llewellyn thought he had him beat with the little crossover. Nope. Give me that pocket change. Going the other way, get the foul on Llewellyn.
It did look like pocket change a little bit. Jalen Llewellyn seemed to have lost it. Chase Adams picked that right up.
He picked it up. I mean, he picked it pretty clean, too. That was, they call that theft.
The 5'7" guard from Chicago, Illinois, Chase Adams, averaging 4 points on the year. He is their steady point guard. Behind the back there, shifty move by Adams, got around Llewellyn. Circling back around for 3 is Watson, no good, blocked by Bufkin. Gets it back outside. That is Young for 3, no good. Jackson State the offensive rebound, though.
The nasty behind the back by Adams to get into the lane and create an open look for Watson. But excellent recovery by Kobe Bufkin, getting back for the block, using his length to get back into the play.
Adams has it up top 5 on the shot clock for the Tigers. Chet Howard switches onto him. Step back 3 for Evans is no good. Rebound Dickinson.
And those are the shots that Jackson State's going to have to knock down a couple of if they want to get back in this game.
Williams open 3 is good, and Terrence Williams connects from downtown. Extends Michigan lead to 13.
Showing his offensive versatility, right? Talked about his three-point numbers, around 30% this year. Seen him get to the rack a little bit more today, use that powerful frame to get up and go up strong, and expanding his range a little bit, knocking down the 3-ball.
Mo Williams wants a timeout. Williams leads all scorers with 11. 4 of 7 from the field, 1 of 3 from deep. And I like your point. You want Terrence Williams to go more inside, use that physicality. He's got a really broad frame, but he's got some touch from out there.
Yeah, well, I think he's not quite a 3-level scorer, right? I think he lacks the fluidity in the mid-range that a Kevin Durant or a DeMar DeRozan might have. Of course, those guys are some of the best in the world, but I think you get my point.
I know what you mean.
But he's got the 3-point jump shot, right? It's not great, but it's good enough that teams should respect it. And I think he can finish inside, right? He's physical. He's a strong human being, and I think I'd like to see him, kind of advance his moves down there a little bit, get some more easy buckets for himself. Because like I've been talking about this all day with Neal in the first half, is that Michigan sometimes struggles to get easy baskets, right? And the whole, I get it, defense supposed to make it hard, but in every basketball game, there's ways to create baskets at the rim. And I don't think they do enough of that. And I've appreciated seeing Terrence Williams get to the rack a little bit more, use that frame, go up strong, and kind of create some more offense for a Michigan team that struggled at times to do so.
Terrence Williams, the junior from Washington, D.C., is part of that Juwan Howard transition era. His freshman year was during Juwan's second year as the man up front for the Wolverines during the COVID year, a year in which Michigan had a lot of success, and Williams was able to soak in a lot of knowledge from other Michigan wings such as Franz Wagner, Isaiah Livers, and now he finds himself in a starting role here in year 3 for the Wolverines.
It is interesting because obviously Livers and Wagner were great players here, and Williams is a little bit of a different game than those guys, right? I keep talking about this powerful guy, and I don't think he quite uses it enough, And Livers and Franz were a little more lanky, a little more smooth in their offensive game, but I think if Williams kind of buys into what he is offensively, right, I think he could be an effective 2-level scorer for Michigan and really be beneficial. I mean, Dickinson has, how many points does Hunter have tonight?
Got 6 tonight.
He has 6 points, right? And typically you'd think, oh man, Dickinson has 6 points. It's the second half. Michigan might be in trouble, but they've up 13, and it's come from guys like Terrence Williams, Kobe Buffkin making some plays. Of course, Jet Howard hitting that big 3 at the end of the first half. So I'd like to see a little bit more of a scoring approach from Terrence Williams, and he should have the confidence because he can do that. He's capable of putting up 12 to 15 points a game for his team.
We are about to resume play here in Chrysler Arena. Daniel getting hyped to the PA music. They always put on a good time. Michigan leads 45-32, approaching 16:30 to go in the game. Jackson State with the ball right now.
A little bit of a 2-3 zone here for Michigan.
Kick outside. Watson thought about the 3, ended up kicking the other corner. Watson gets it back, drives on Llewellyn, finds his teammate Young inside. Missed the layup. Here comes Llewellyn the other way.
Excellent defense by Dickinson, altering that shot. The recovery. Talked about his lateral quickness a little bit slow, but good recovery there.
Williams rising mid-range, left it short. Jackson State miss. Here comes Jalen Llewellyn.
He had an opportunity to push it to Buffkin there. Chose Jet.
Howard Euro steps around his defender and converts on the layup, extends Michigan's lead to 15. All the other way is Jackson State. Nice alley-oop attempt. They had one of those in the first half, but they missed this one. Michigan comes the other way with numbers. Howard kicks corner. Williams an open 3 is no good. Left that one short as well. Daniel mentioned it earlier. Good, but not great.
Yeah.
Saw the inconsistency there. Michigan still leads by 15.
Yeah, this game's starting to pick up the pace a little bit. I think both coaches want to slow it down just a touch. It's one thing to play with pace, but if you're sloppy, it doesn't matter too much.
Evans' layup is good. Nice move from Ken Evans, going right to left, right over Hunter Dickinson.
That was nice. You can see why he averages 18 a game there. Dickinson's been protecting the rim really, really well tonight. Ken Evans with his off hands, high off the glass. Beautiful finish.
Llewellyn gets a screen from Dickinson. Probing inside. Finds Dickinson. Short mid-range is no good. The back rim. Rebound Mansell. Michigan leads by 13. It's 47-34. Just inside 15 minutes to go in the second half. The Jackson State Bengal Tigers of Jackson, Mississippi. Mansell with the screen. Evans got blocked by Howard. Scramble for the ball. Hunter on the floor diving for it. Looks like it's going to be a jump. So good defensive play there by Howard as we go to a media timeout here in Chrysler.
Yeah,
Michigan leads 47-34.
Excellent recovery there by Jet Howard. Got beat a little bit on the dribble by Ken Evans Jr. He's looking to establish himself on the offensive side of the ball and just using that length, that 6'8", reaching out, knocking the ball down, and then good hustle by Hunter getting on the floor. And I've liked what Dickinson's done tonight. He's got 12 rebounds. and he's only shot it 5 times, and I know that he's probably would like a few more touches, but Jackson State has really taken it away from him, taking the ball out of his hands. He gets it in the low post, they double almost instantly, and he's made the right passes, and he's still found a way to impact the game on the defensive end, grabbing 11 defensive rebounds, obviously 1 offensive rebound. Get to that, 12 rebounds and 4 blocks as well in only 18 minutes. And he came out of the tunnel, you know, kind of rubbing his hip a little bit. We wondered how much he was going to play tonight. It didn't seem like too big of an issue, but he's been effective when he's been out there.
Hunter, certainly a force on the interior defensively. As Daniel mentioned, 12 rebounds and 4 blocks. Taking a backseat offensively to guys like Terrence Williams, maybe a guy like Kobe Buffkin, even Jett Howard tonight. Michigan still leads it by 13. Ken Evans, the star for Jackson State, on the other hand, has been held to 1 for 7 from the field. 1 turnover only, but still a struggle from the field for the Tiger star.
Yeah, not been his night so far, and it's been tough. Jett Howard's done a good job with his length at 6'8", staying with him. Kobe Buffkin, long arms at 6'4", and you know, Evans Jr. being 6'5", he doesn't quite have that advantage, that length advantage that some of the best scorers, when you think of, you know, basketball, KD, guys like that, need to, you know, rise up and elevate over, especially when he's playing 6'8" Jett, 6'4" Kobe. So good job by Michigan, kind of, you know, moving their feet. They've kept ball handlers in front of them really well tonight, and that's something that they've struggled with in games past, allowing people to get to the rack a little bit. And even when they have gotten past, Dickinson's done an excellent job of contesting without fouling, getting some blocks. So defense has been much improved tonight for the Wolverines.
Michigan leads at 47-34. Approaching 14 and a half to go here in the second half. Nice showing at Chrysler Arena, certainly, considering it's the day before Thanksgiving. Students are gone. Mazerage doing a nice job of making up for it.
Yeah, we've got a decent crowd in here. Probably a lot of locals, you know.
A lot of townies tonight, I'd imagine.
Yeah, celebrating Thanksgiving break, Thanksgiving tomorrow.
And then we got that big game on Saturday.
A big game on Saturday, exactly. You a big Thanksgiving guy?
I'm a big Thanksgiving guy. Not only the food, just the whole vibe.
The
It's a festivity. It's just a good time.
Giving thanks. It's awesome.
Thankful to be up here with you in the booth.
Me too, man.
We will resume play here in Chrysler. Watson will inbound from the baseline for the Tigers. They're down 13.
Seen a lot of good inbound plays here tonight. Obviously, only 4.8 seconds here on the shot clock for Jackson State, but let's see if Mo Williams drew something up out of that timeout.
Joey Baker checking in for Kobe Buffkin. Only 4 seconds, like Daniel said, so the Tigers got to hurry. There's Evans, mid-range is an airmail, so that'll be a shot clock violation.
You can tell Evans is a little frustrated, too. He's just not been able to quite, you know, get to his spots. And Jackson State's bringing out the press here to try and speed up Michigan a little bit.
Zone press for Jackson State. Michigan breaks it easily. Here's Jett Howard, drives baseline, finds Baker wide open in the corner for 3, and that misses. Rebound goes to Jackson State. Evans' layup is good. Ken Evans makes his second field goal of the day and brings the Tigers within 11, approaching 14 to go here in the game. Jackson State maintains that press. Michigan once again breaks it. Jalen Llewellyn up top for the Wolverines. The starters minus Kobe Buffkin, throw in Joey Baker. And interesting, we talked at halftime about how we stagger Howard's and Baker's minutes as Jett Howard hits a 3 from downtown.
Well, yeah, and you can
and now
see,
they're playing together.
Right, yeah, you can see the results kind of pay off. I know that was one shot, but you have Baker and Jett in the corner, and that opens up the space a little bit more for Dickinson there. And he didn't get a touch, but teams are going to be clustering around Dickinson and leaving guys in the corner open. So it's I like this move by Juwan Howard.
Evans drives on Baker. Baker holds his ground. Evans gets it back. In for the Tigers is number 31, Jamarcus Jones. His first minutes of the game. Baker rising 3 is no good off the rim. Rebound is fought for and acquired by Terrence Williams, who tries to lay it up. Left that short, though. Rebound again being fought for, and Terrence Williams comes up with it. So Jalen Llewellyn finds him. And Jalen Llewellyn is wide open in the corner, and Williams just missed him. Howard gets it back up top, though. Michigan leads by 14, approaching 13 minutes to go here in the game. Llewellyn left wing gets it inside to Dickinson. Big dribble for Hunter. Whistle is blown. Looks like Hunter will go to the line for a pair here.
Yeah, spun to that right shoulder, trying to get to his left hand on the baseline. did a good job of getting to the shot, but also being decisive. Steph Curry talked about, in the NBA, you've got to make a decision in half a second to 1 second, right? If you pause, you're losing out on any offensive productivity, and Dickinson certainly didn't pause there.
First free throw is no good off the back iron. So Michigan's lead stays at 14, just inside 13 minutes to go here in the second half.
Improvement from the line tonight for Michigan, though. I know only 9 of 12 haven't been there as much as they'd probably like, but 75% is certainly above their season average.
Second free throw is good for Dickinson, so he splits the pair. Michigan leads 51-36. The court is Jackson State. It's Chase Adams, the 5'7" shifty point guard from Chicago. He will take ball handling duties for the Tigers. He gets a screen. Finds his teammate in the corner for three, and that is good from Colty Young.
I like Young. He's got a lot of confidence when he shoots it. Just catch, shoot, nothing but the bottom.
Quick release there for Young brings Jackson State within 12. Williams trying to decide what to do with it.
I think that's Jackson State's method of getting back in this game, is hitting some quick hit threes.
Baker tried to find a spot, instead found Hunter in the post, spin, dunk, but that will be waved off. Whistle blown. It's like a foul before the play on Jackson State. It's going to go on Jones.
Just some interesting defense there by Jamarcus Jones. The help was coming from the top side, from the elbow, and he was playing him that way, and Hunter still beat him baseline on the spin move. And you got to know that Dickinson's left-handed is strong hand, so you got to force him to the middle. And that's where your help is coming additionally as well. So
Doug McDaniel turned it over, inbounding baseline, so here come the Tigers. And Chase Adams is being guarded by Terrence Williams right now, interestingly enough.
Williams has been on him a couple possessions tonight. He's played him pretty well, but it's an interesting decision from Howard.
Adams, the 5'7" guard, being guarded by the 6'7" Terrence Williams as Jackson State turns it over there. Wild pass from Adams. As we go to another timeout here in Kress Arena.
I do wonder if Terrence Williams on Adams is more about length, right? Trying to get him amongst the trees is what they talk about, and making that decision tough because, right, he's going to be seeing a lot of long arms and trying to make a pass, and it can force some turnovers like what just occurred there.
I find it interesting that Doug McDaniel, who is also sub 6 feet, is not on Chase Adams, who is 5'7". Instead on Colty Young, who is a 6'3" sharpshooter. So not sure if that might have been something that happened in transition because obviously Michigan turned it over before then. But certainly something to keep your eye on.
Well, I think McDaniel was on him for a few possessions in that first half. But I do wonder if Howard, because McDaniel did get beat by that cut right in front of his face, which I called awful defense, which it is, right? I mean, your guy just like runs in front of you towards the basket and you don't follow him. So I wonder if Jawan's got Williams out there, just provide some more length, kind of feed him into Dickinson and say, hey, try and make a pass, in between all these guys that are 6'8" and 7'1", as Dickinson is. So
Michigan leads it here as we are in the midst of a T-shirt toss at Chrysler Arena.
You ever gotten a T-shirt from one of these?
I have not. Have you?
I think I might have a long time ago, but I don't remember it. I think my dad might have caught it, maybe.
Nice. Certainly is something that a lot of people get out for. I think it's more about actually being one of the few people to catch a T-shirt rather than receiving a T-shirt.
Well, yeah, the actual T-shirt is like,
right.
Symbolizes
your luck of the day or your skill if you made a good catch.
Yeah, it's being involved, right? Everybody wants to be involved in the action, and
same as getting on the Jumbotron.
All right, exactly.
It's a good time.
Yeah, maybe you snag one like Justin Jefferson or Odell, and you have a good time. But
speaking of which, lots of NFL tomorrow, so sports don't stop in a time in which it seems sports may be at its peak. I mean, we have the World Cup going on. College basketball just started. The NBA is in full swing. The NFL in the late, important regular season stage. College football, obviously, as I would assume most of our listeners know, is in crunch time. Michigan, Ohio State on Saturday, and multiple other games with big conference implications. So soak it all in, folks. And this is what it's about. This is what sports are about.
Been a lot of upsets in the World Cup.
Oh,
Saudi Arabia
Japan
beating
today. I don't know
Argentina,
if people
Japan.
consider that an upset.
Japan over Germany.
Probably.
Pretty good upset right
Maybe
there.
the U.S. can pull off another one on Friday.
Yeah, they certainly need to. They let a couple points slip for sure against Wales that other day. And England's a very, very talented team, obviously, so they're gonna have their work cut out for them. But certainly be tuning into that one.
We'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, we tune back into Chrysler Arena as Michigan has the ball. Jackson State employing that zone press. Doug McDaniel will handle the ball for the Wolverines. It's also Joey Baker, Terrence Williams, Jet Howard, and Hunter Dickinson on the floor for Michigan. Baker goes into a three and hits it. Joey Baker from downtown. Got his defender with a nice pump fake and created some space and hit the shot.
Man, the fundamentals are just so nice to watch when they're executed. The pump fake, the jab step, the little step back and rebalance himself and fire the shot. And well done by Joey Baker.
Adams being hounded by McDaniel. Gets it back from Young. Screen from Jones. Rising mid-range left it short. Did chase Adams, so Michigan coming the other way.
Michigan has really turned up the defensive intensity recently. They're challenging everything, and they're playing with this energy that certainly wasn't there in the first, I'd say, 8 or so minutes.
Williams drives baseline. Finds Baker in the corner. Got his defender again with the pump fake and hits that three. Deja vu here in Chrysler as Joey Baker has hit back-to-back threes, and Michigan extends their lead to 18. Adams drives. Now Jones in the post against Hunter Dickinson. Hunter poked it away. Jones got it back. Adams left ring gets a screen from Jones. That quick shifty gets it inside the Jones for the dunk.
Well, there's Chase Adams getting around the length of Dickinson and making a play on the inside, setting his teammate up for an easy bucket. But let's see if Michigan can get the ball back to Joey Baker and get another one.
So risky pass there from Terrence Williams in the backcourt. Almost turned it over. Doug McDaniel has it, though. 57-41 here in Chrysler, approaching 10 minutes to go in the game. McDaniel feeds Baker for three, and he missed that one. Crowd would have erupted.
Yeah, that was a heat check there from Baker.
Yep.
Probably not a shot he should be taking.
Speaking of heat check, Colty Young just jacked one from 3 feet beyond the arc and missed. Michigan with the ball back. Jet Howard now in the corner for three, and he hits. So a very fast-paced, quick game here in Chrysler. Lots of shots going up in the second half. Michigan leads at 60-41. Adams doubled now by Dickinson, and McDaniel quickly gets it out. In the quarter now, Young for three is no good. Rebound fought for and corralled by Young. Nice pass inside to Jones for the layup. Colty Young with his head on a swivel finds his big man for the dunk. So we go to another timeout. Michigan up 17, approaching 9.5 to go in the game. They've turned it on here offensively as Joey Baker has provided a spark off the bench.
They've certainly kept up their three-point shooting, right? They are jacking a lot of threes, but they're up to 41% now from the three-point line, which that'll win you a lot of games. I don't care what level you're playing at. But this press is killing Jackson State. They don't seem to know exactly where they're supposed to be defensively, who they're supposed to be marking. I mean, Jet Howard was wide open in the corner there. Joey Baker's gotten his man in the air with just a simple pump fake, dribble, sidestep, reset, knock down the three. So much better for Michigan. And like we talked about, I mean, getting Jet and Joey on the court at the same time has paid dividends for this team so far. And my guess is that this is a lineup that we see more of going forward. I mean, Dickinson still has 6 points, and Michigan's up 17 in the second half. That's promising for the Wolverines.
My question is, what happens during the Baker-Howard non-minutes? Who does Michigan turn to shoot the ball? Do they not shoot the ball from the perimeter? Do they take a different approach?
I mean, I think there's a way to kind of get their minutes, stagger them, where you can get one guy, where they can play together for a little bit, but still have stretches where they're playing not together, because you need that spacing on the floor, right? I mean, guys like, or else you're relying on guys like Doug McDaniel and Jace Howard to make some shots, and that's just not something you can consistently rely on.
Jace Howard thought about the three, found McDaniel instead running floater is good, bounces around the rim there a couple times and falls.
That was a really soft zone there from Jackson State. McDaniel just kind of walked into the middle and threw up the floater, and 9 points for him tonight. Well done.
Watson handling the ball here for Jackson State. Gets around his defender, but blocked inside by Terrace Reed, the big man freshman. Here comes Michigan. Baker trying to thread the needle to Howard. And Jet Howard finishes. Pass was deflected, but found its way to Jet Howard for the layup, and Michigan is up 21. Here is Watson for the Tigers, guarded by Jace Howard. So the brothers on the court together as Young rises and hits a mid-range as he falls down.
Sheesh. That is a tough shot right there, but it's also a two-pointer, so it's not a shot that I think Mo Williams wants to see his team take very often.
Cuts the lead to 19. Howard, quick trigger three is no good. Rebound Mansell. And here come the Tigers approaching 8 minutes to go in the game. Mansell heads back to Watson. Little pick and roll action. Watson finds Young on the wing. Back up top to Watson. Good defense from Michigan so far. Step back three for Watson is no good. Off the heel, rebound McDaniel. And here comes Michigan.
Another
Jace
tough
Howard.
stop for Jackson State.
Baker finds his spot inside the arc. Missed it that time. Mansell with the rebound. Young trying to get shifty on McDaniel. Back outside Watson to slow things down. 64-45 Michigan leads, approaching 7.5 to go here in the game. Young gets it to Cook, who just checked in. Foul is called on Baker. As we head to another media timeout, Michigan leads by 19. 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go here in the game. First half may have had some people on their toes, but Michigan has responded nicely here in the second.
Yeah, they certainly have, and it stemmed from this Joey Baker, Jet Howard lineup, and just kind of mix the pieces around them, right? You know, you get a little bit of dribble penetration, kick out to one of those guys, let them make a play, and they're shooting the ball with a lot of confidence right now, and that's obviously really beneficial, and they're making their shots, you know, and that's the difference between this half and the first half, or at least the first 15 or so minutes of that first half before Michigan kind of went on that run. But, you know, well done. A great adjustment by Juwan Howard. We had kind of called to see this lineup, and they're delivering the way we expected they might. And there's going to be moments where they're not making their shots, right? Michigan's just going to have to live with that. But I'd be shocked if we don't see a lot more of the Joey Baker, Jet Howard lineup, you know, in these big games and, you know, coming up against Virginia, right? Massive game here at the Chrysler Center.
Kentucky as well, and London later on. Of course,
Exactly.
the Big Ten schedule.
North Carolina as well, and Charlotte. So plenty of big games to kind of test this out. I actually wouldn't even mind seeing it as you're starting a lineup. As weird as that sounds, like
Who's Baker taking out of that starting lineup?
well, that's an interesting question. You know,
Well, it's probably Williams or Buffkin.
yeah, I think you probably. Oh man, that's
I
tough.
feel like Buffkin might be a nice scoring spark off the bench. Williams is a nice glue guy to include in that starting
yeah,
lineup,
but
perhaps.
you kind of need Buffkin's defense though, because he plays hard, and I think he kind of sets the tone. I think I'd probably take Llewellyn out, but like you need a point guard in there to run the show, but he hasn't really been in here much the second half, and this lineup is doing what it's doing. So if you want to play around with it, he'll figure out something else out. I think, you know, for Jackson State, right, you're not really coming in here thinking you're going to beat Michigan in the Chrysler Center, but they had to have some sort of confidence that, like, they could do it, considering Ohio came in here, took Michigan to the end, to the wire. Eastern Michigan, in a game in Detroit, took Michigan to the wire. So teams, you know, that are less talented than Michigan have been able to keep up with them, but they've taken a lot of tough shots, a lot of individual shots, and you know, I kind of pointed that out earlier. They only average 12 assists a game, and that's not a number that's going to fly and win you a lot of games at this level of basketball.
Jackson State, coached by first-year head coach Mo Williams, played 13 years in the NBA. I'm sure you guys mentioned that in the first half. Feel obligated to it in the second half. Won that championship in 2016 with the Cavs in a miraculous comeback from down 3-1. Layup is blocked by Buffkin. Nice defensive play there. And although Williams and his Tigers have yet to win a game, they played hard here tonight.
They certainly started with more energy than Michigan. I mean, that first few minutes, the scoreboard didn't really show it because it was kind of trading off, but they certainly beat Michigan to a lot of 50-50 balls.
Watson missed the pull-up mid-range. Rebound Reed gives to his fellow freshman Doug McDaniel. Michigan up 19, approaching 7 minutes to go in the game. McDaniel screen from Baker. Jet Howard is out. Jace is in, as well as McDaniel, Baker, Reed, and Buffkin for the Wolverines. Experimenting with quite a bit of different lineups here. Reed now in the post by himself against Mansell. Nice spin. A hook shot bounces around and falls out. So tough luck miss there for Terrace Reed.
Say because that deserved to go. That was a beautiful spin move on the baseline.
Evans' rising floater is blocked by Reed. He got way up there, but Mansell was there for the rebound and the putback as Reed fell down. There's Reed showing off not only the low post skill set offensively, but the rim protection defensively.
Yeah, he's offered some excellent rim protection tonight. I'm impressed with him. He's a good looking player. Just needs some more time to develop and kind of mature in the Division I level.
McDaniel falls down, keeps the dribble alive though, being hounded defensively by the Tigers. 10 on the shot clock. Reed outside Baker, rising three is no good. Rebound Adams, and here come the Tigers. Michigan leads by 17. Adams kick to the corner. Evans thought about it. Nice closeout there by Buffkin. Tapped it out of the bounds. Wanted the ball to go to Michigan, but the ref will say otherwise.
Looked like it was off Ken Evans' knee to me, but didn't necessarily have the greatest angle on that official. But good defense by Buffkin, good active hands, and I think that's one of his better defensive qualities. He struggled at times to stay in front of people despite his athleticism, but he's done an excellent job of kind of making things difficult with his length.
Yusuf Kayat will check in once again for the Wolverines. We saw his first minutes at Michigan in the first half. Played hard. Foul is called on the floor. He will check in for Joey Baker. Had some nice minutes. Didn't score, but provided a lot of energy for this team when they needed it early in the first half. And he will check in here with his team up 17, furthering his case to possibly enter Michigan's rotation, which at this point seems wide open. Evans at the line for the Tigers. His Beat Ohio chant starts circulating throughout Chrysler Arena. Evans' first free throw is good. Obviously the big game on Saturday, the game. First time both teams entered the game undefeated since, I believe, 2006.
Yes.
Maybe fact check me on that one, but I believe that's what I saw. The game, that's right. The stakes couldn't be higher, and I said that last year. As Ken Evans prepping for the second free throw. Cuts the Michigan lead to 15. It's McDaniel, Kayat, Jace Howard, Buffkin, and Terrace Reed in for the Wolverines. This is the future, folks. A lot of youth in for the Wolverines. McDaniel pull-up three is no good off the heel. Shot looked good. Pushing it up is the Tigers. Evans was in the open court, but his teammate couldn't find him. Good defense there by McDaniel to deflect it.
I like the energy this group provides defensively, and I think this is a smart time to use this group. Up 15, 6 minutes left. You'd like to keep the defensive energy up and kind of, keep Jackson State's confidence low because it is pretty low right now. They're lacking an offensive punch.
Evans down the lane, wild hook shot is no good, but whistle is blown for a foul. It's going to be on Jace Howard.
Yet at the same time, I think Juwan Howard has to have a quick hook with this group, right? Jackson State, with as much ISO ball as they play, all it takes is one guy to get hot with the amount of threes that they shoot to get back into this game pretty quickly. So certainly, some critical minutes here.
Evans once again at the line for the Tigers. First free throw is good. Ken Evans is 4 of 4 from the line thus far. Now 5 of 5 with that one, actually. Looking to go 6 of 6 here and cut the Wolverine lead to 13. And he does just that. 13-point lead for Michigan, 5.5 to go here in the game. Michigan started slow, then came rambling back and exploded early in the second half, but they still have work to do. So massive group substitution will take place in the next dead ball. Terrace Reed up top for the Wolverines, hands to Buffkin. Buffkin dribbling up top, settles for a top-of-the-arc three, and he hits it. Kobe Buffkin from downtown. Much-needed three there. Extends Michigan lead to 16. Approaching 5 to go here in the game. Adams on the drive. Nice finish there by Chase Adams.
He took that the full length of the court with Jace Howard all over him, and that was a tough finish, but that's what quickness will do for you.
And Adams seems to be limping a bit back. You see his matchup with Doug McDaniel. Screen from Jace Howard. Now Terrace Reeds comes to help McDaniel. Jace Howard, nice pump fake. Finding Buffkin wide open in the corner for 3, and that one misses. Here comes Watson quickly ahead to Evans. Nice move by him. Blocked by Buffkin. Kobe Buffkin with a chase down block. Seems like Evans had an open layup after he got by McDaniel, but Buffkin came flying in for the chase down block. You said it, showing off that defensive capability.
Yeah, that was an excellent, excellent recovery. You could see Ken Evans on the run out and Buffkin getting up high to block that. That was above the back. That was above the white square on that backboard, and excellent recovery by Buffkin after missing that open 3.
Ball remains with the Tigers as Michigan brings in an entire new group. It'll be the starters out there for the Wolverines, so Buffkin stays in. Evans fading mid-range is no good. Bounces around, rebound Buffkin. 67-53 here in Chrysler. Michigan leads. Buffkin has it right corner, screen from Dickinson. Buffkin back to the corner, goes to Williams. Williams, couple big dribbles. Jump stop. Back up top for Buffkin. Finds Williams on the right wing. Looking to get it to Dickinson inside, and he does. Dickinson settles for the mid-range jumper and hits. So Mansell was off of him a bit, and Hunter said, "I'll take that."
That was smooth at the elbow there. Dickinson hasn't, when he's got the ball low, Jackson State has sent the double team, so he just turned quickly at the elbow, pulled the mid-range jumper, and made him pay.
Adams for the Tigers, rising mid-range, got it knocked out of his hands by Terrence Williams. Rebound Jet Howard, who is fouled. So we head to immediate timeout. 69-53, Michigan leads. 3 minutes and 40 seconds remain here in the game. Michigan looking to go 4-1 here on the season. Jackson State yet to win a game in the early season.
It's like some fans are starting to clear out of Chrysler, beat the traffic that might be out there.
The quote-unquote traffic. The parking lot traffic.
Yeah, mostly parking. But I think they think this game is over, and I'm not going to say it is because I'm not going to jinx it.
Yep. Got to respect that.
And, Jackson State, with the amount of threes that they shoot, in theory, could get back into this game. But Michigan certainly taking control in the second half, and it was led by Joey Baker and Jet Howard knocking down some threes and providing some spacing. And then I'm a little shocked that I'm saying this, that Hunter Dickinson, I think, was kind of the underrated or unsung hero of tonight, right? Because he's such a big name, but he's been excellent inside, both defensively. He's been patient offensively. He's made the right plays. He hasn't really forced anything too much. And then he's, defensively, he's cleaned the glass, which is what you want a guy at 7'1" to do. Blocked some shots, protected the paint. Really, really well done by Dickinson tonight. And defensively for Michigan overall, I feel like it's been a much better performance for them. A little bit more, much more on a string. First few minutes were a little sloppy, a little lackadaisical, but the energy certainly picked up, and done a good job of fighting back and giving the crowd something to cheer about, right? And it's a lot easier to play at home when you've got the noise on your side and the crowd's, helping you build that momentum as you take a lead and maintain it.
Dickinson is Daniel's unsung hero of the night. 3 for 6 from the field. He's got 9 points, 12 rebounds, 4 blocks, showcasing that dominance defensively on the interior. What if I told you coming into this game that with 3 minutes and 40 seconds left, Hunter Dickinson would have attempted the least amount of shots in the starting lineup for Michigan? Would you be surprised?
Yeah, very. I mean, that's, in the pregame talked a little bit about Michigan's strategy just seems to be get the ball to Dickinson and let them do their thing. And Jackson State's could have done a good job of doubling. But I really just think Michigan's done a better job of getting out in transition and getting easier baskets for themselves and kind of figuring out how to create for others not named Dickinson. And Hunter's done a good job of being patient and taking what he's given them. And so he's certainly not a detriment to the offense by any means. Obviously, you want your best player and your best offensive player out there at all times and contributing. And he's certainly done that, especially on the defensive end as well.
Llewellyn up top for the Wolverines as they try to close this one out. Dickinson now right elbow, moves to his left. Hands to Williams. Gets a screen from Dickinson. Terrence probing inside. Fading mid-range is partially blocked by Mansell, and here comes Jackson State.
Yeah, it's not really Williams' game, right? We talked about that mid-range. It's not really his game, but I like the aggressiveness to get into the paint there and try and make something happen.
Adams directing traffic up top.
Jackson State's got to move a little bit quicker here. Yeah, you just mentioned it. I mean, only down 16, but 3 minutes left. You got to start making some things happen.
Mansell hands to Watson. Mansell will jack a 3 and leave it short. So rebound goes to Bufkin here. Michigan probably looking to slow the tempo. We'll see what they want to do here. Bufkin driving baseline. Got cut off. Continues his drive and turned it over. Bad pass there from Kobe Bufkin. Leads to a run out for Chase Adams, and he converts on the layup. So
yeah,
Jackson State.
I think Michigan, you know, you want to get good-looking shots, and however quickly that takes, it's fine, but you know, it obviously can't end with a turnover there. So I think Michigan slows it down here. They run their offense, get something under 10 seconds or so on the shot clock.
Bufkin hands to Howard, finds himself wide open in the three-point arc, shoots and scores. So Jet Howard hits his 4th 3 of the game for the Wolverines, and they're up 17 now. So very comfortable lead late in the game for Michigan. Young up top for Jackson State, who's fought hard. Finds his teammate, that's Watson for 3, and he hits. So Jackson State quickly responding with a 3 of their own. We are almost at 2 minutes remaining in the game here. Michigan, the slow start in the first half. Maybe had a similar feeling to that Ohio game a couple days ago, but Michigan responding nicely in the second half, in part thanks to some great three-point shooting, something they've lacked really all season so far. Shooting above 40% from 3 in the second half. They are at actually 50% from 3 this half. So,
what are your thoughts on Michigan taking 33s in this game? I know, you know, we've talked a little bit about kind of how at least Neal and I did, talk a little bit about how the game is trending towards a more three-point centric offense, and it seemed like Michigan had been more old school with Dickinson inside, and I mean, over half their shots have been threes, and I worked out on the scoreboard a little bit better for them tonight.
It's interesting because you think of Michigan's personnel, you really don't think that they're a team that would rely on their threes offensively. And I don't think that's been the case at least early in the season, but like you said, this game, more than half of their field goal attempts have been from beyond the arc. And it's paid off. I mean, they are 12 of 30 from downtown, 40%. That's a really good number for from a team perspective. Joey Baker, Jed Howard, have been a big part of that Kobe Bufkin now recently. So
Bufkin's made a couple, 2 of 5 from downtown tonight for Kobe, which is good for him. Obviously came in shooting 10.5% from 3. So that's big improvement there. 77% from the line. It's more good shooting from Michigan than Jackson State, 23% from 3, and that's been the discrepancy in the difference in the game tonight.
Jackson State employing that press, trying to force a quick turnover. Llewellyn breaks it though. Dickinson now just inside the arc. Miscommunication there with Bufkin as Adams comes away with the steal. Blew the layup though, and ball will remain with Jackson State. So Dickinson and Bufkin not on the same page there. Turn it over. Luckily for them though, Adams missed the layup. Jackson State inbounding baseline. Quick trigger 3 is good for Watson from downtown. Jackson State hanging in there. They're down 11, approaching 1.5 to go here in the game. Adams is up tight on Llewellyn. Llewellyn gets across the line safely, though. Here comes the double with Young. Llewellyn breaks it. Nice job by him. Finds Bufkin in the corner. Bufkin now driving. Over right wing to Llewellyn. Pass tipped out of bounds by Evans. So ball will remain with Michigan. Trying to close this one out here in Chrysler a day before Thanksgiving. Michigan welcoming in Jackson State. Coached by 13-year NBA vet, former NBA vet that is, Mo Williams. Howard on a hook curl. Tossed one up, left it short. Rebound, Mansell. Jackson State pushing it with Watson. He resets. Outside for 3. Young thought about it. Now he drives and dunks. Trace Young throws on a hammer's dunk. And Jackson State is within 9. And we are inside a minute here in Chrysler. Llewellyn breaks the press with a help from a Hunter Dickinson screen. Llewellyn driving. Almost turned that one over too. Some sloppy late game play here by Michigan. They have the ball though with Bufkin up top. Guarded by Watson. Inside 40 seconds we are. Bufkin keeping it. Less than 10 on the shot clock. Bufkin drive. He got his pocket picked. And here comes Watson down the floor. Watson goes up, misses the layup. Rebound, Evans, and he finishes. So Jackson State within 7. We're inside half a minute to go here in the game. Michigan with some very sloppy late game play. Lots of turnovers. Jackson State maintains that press. Llewellyn is fouled on the inbound. Your thoughts on everything that just happened?
Wow. Well, that was a lot to take in right there. I'm not sure what Michigan's doing offensively. Dickinson gets one touch at the elbow, and that's about it. Not even really getting shots. Guys are just getting their pockets picked, which is not ideal, obviously. You want to at least make them foul you or get some sort of offensive production going. And it's allowed Jackson State to get back into this game, and they are flying around. Jackson State is right now. And big free throw there by Llewellyn, though. He struggled with that a little bit this season, and to be able to knock that down, give Michigan an 8-point lead, should be able to put this game to bed. But certainly something Juwan Howard is going to have them work on as they prepare for Virginia upcoming.
Llewellyn hits both free throws. Quick trigger 3 is good for Gabe Watson from downtown. So Jackson State hanging around by a thread as Llewellyn is once again fouled. That is Chase Adams on the foul. And that will be his 5th, I believe. So he is fouled out. And seems like Adams arguing that he only should have 4. Mo Williams joining his side on the argument, having a lengthy discussion here with one of the officials. We'll see what the word is.
I only had him at 4 as well, but this is tough. Adams played a really good game tonight, so should keep his head up.
Adams with a warm round of applause from the Jackson State faithful, as well as a couple Wolverine fans. He's 5'7", playing
away from the student section, though.
Yep, yep. 5'7", playing in a game full of giants, and he made quite the impact tonight. Certainly entertaining to watch. Llewellyn's first free throw is good. Extends that Michigan lead to 7. Gabe Watson has come alive here late in the second half. He has 19 for the game. He's 5 of 15 from downtown, so certainly a volume shooter. Llewellyn's second free throw is good. Llewellyn has been very steady from the line late game. One of the few pluses for Michigan in that department. Down the lane goes Evans, tosses up a wild one, which misses. Rebound is fought for and corralled by Llewellyn, who falls. Foul is called, and that will likely do it. Maybe a ticky-tack foul if you ask a Tiger fan. I certainly think it wasn't obvious at all, but Jalen Llewellyn heading to the line. Michigan up 8. 11 seconds to go here in the game. It's all but official here in Chrysler. Michigan will move to 4-1 on the year. Jackson State falls to 0-4 in a hard-fought contest. And although Michigan looked much better in the second half than the first half, I would say there's still a lot of questions to be answered.
Certainly. Right, and obviously the shooting numbers are better tonight, which is encouraging. It's what you want to see from Michigan, but just keep coming back to this word of consistency, right? And there's just lapses of periods of time where Michigan does not look like they are ready to play, and this past 3 minutes has been that.
Watson wild 3, missed it, and that will likely do it as Jed Howard corrals the rebound. As we approach zeros here in Chrysler. So Michigan comes away with the win, albeit with some, let's say, late game anxiety, as they didn't exactly close it out the way Juwan Howard and his coaching staff probably wanted them to. Regardless, they get the win. It's been a scrappy season so far for Michigan. They move to 4-1. First half was sloppy. They come back, take control early in the second half, and kind of ride that out until the end, basically. This is still a young team. They're not there yet, clearly, but we've talked about it throughout the broadcast. They have a tough schedule coming up. Not only is the Big Ten tough every year when it comes to conference play, but Michigan's out-of-conference schedule is also no joke, unlike football. It is no joke. They've got Kentucky. They've got North Carolina.
Virginia here.
Who's undefeated, looking really good recently. Daniel, what does this team need to do to find their identity and give themselves just a shot at some of those games?
Well, I think they've got to take a look at what worked so well for them in this game, right? And that was turning up the energy a little bit on defense, right? Switching on a little bit more, because they still have these lapses of 2 to 3 minutes where it's like, where'd the energy go? do they know what they're doing out there? Like, nobody looks like they have any idea of how to make a play right now. So need to keep the energy switched on at all times, right? And that's frustrating, I think, as a Michigan fan, because that should be the basic expectation of any team. But I think shooting more threes helps, right? Especially on nights when Dickinson's getting double teamed, because while these guys haven't shot it well so far, you're going to get open looks. And in theory, you should be able to knock them down. The guys like Jet Howard, Joey Baker did that well tonight. Was able to extend their lead. So I think they look at that. They say, all right, we get Jet out there with Joey a little bit more, space the floor a little bit better. Hopefully that leads to a little bit more offensive production. And going forward, maybe they can get somebody else to make a few more shots, whether that be Terrence Williams, Kobe Buffkin, anybody of that sort. And just keep playing hard on the defensive end, though. I think that's where it starts, right? And then Michigan can get some easy baskets. The threes will drop at some point, hopefully, for the Michigan Wolverines. And some good things tonight, but, those kind of, you have a bad taste in your mouth after that kind of finish. But a win's a win, and it's better to learn from a win than continue to learn from losses. So
Michigan comes away with the win here, 78-68 over Jackson State. A much-needed performance, especially in the second half, especially following that Ohio game that went down to the wire, also here in Chrysler. So we will send you off here until Saturday, the big game, Michigan-Ohio State. WCBN will be on the coverage, so make sure you tune in for that one. But from Chrysler Arena, we say goodbye. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and go blue.
Go blue, baby.